Yo les gars, j'ai quoi les gars? Tranquille ou quoi?
See what happens.
Well, I think we should explore zone right now. You think it's just us three? Think again. Let's bring out the rest of the squad.
Hey!
Shayo's in the building. We got Levin 2K looking only as Levin can look. And they're, of course, our casters, as you, of course, know. And we've got our mid-game analyst who will be kicking things off. In the mid-game, of course, Taco, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, it's day 2 of Grand. This is what it's really all about for a lot of these teams.
You guys know what it takes when it comes to crunch time, right? You've been here, done that, got the t-shirt. How do you still get that excitement running in?
It's just another Sunday, man. Honestly,
I'm not buying that.
I've been here so many times now, you know, it's just another Sunday. But obviously, of course, for the players, the nerves that they have,
this is what it's really all about for a lot of these teams.
You guys know what it takes
I
when
try
it
to
comes
bring
to
that
crunch
energy
time, right?
forward.
You've been here. There's a different feeling in the air on Championship Sunday.
Yeah, I channel that too. You know, sometime maybe good, sometime maybe amazing when it comes to Championship Sunday. So happy to see what happens next.
Do you remember when we were all stood here yesterday at the start of the show? We talked about something called Levin's List. I do want to talk about that more as we go along, see if we tick any more of those boxes. But for now, it is time to kick off the second day of the EU Grand Finals. It gets big from here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going on the battle bus. It's time for game number 7.
Let's do this one last time. Game number 1 of day 2, game 7, Mr. 11-2K. It's gonna be a phenomenal day because that first day we watched was nothing like we've ever seen before.
Yeah, if you've never been here for an EU Grand Final before, let me tell you, day 2 is a very different day, a very different outlook. All these players last night would have been practicing, working their hardest to watch the games back, see what they can fix up for today, and I promise you there'll be some whole new strategies.
Absolutely, that's why the finals feel so grand. I feel like we've never seen a competition this close, so let's get a bit closer to it. Let's dive right in to game 7, day 2's game number 1. It starts off every single time, every single day with Shakos and Skydune. What's the entire Spire going to look like? Who is going to contest them off spawn? Do they have it free? Because if so, that team only needs 2 games a day to stay in the top 10. Meanwhile, near that top side, the entire podium, first, second, third place, switching every single game, and that gets determined off spawn too. It's the same as day 1 here. Shaco, Skydune, Pablo Ingo, Bevies. Let's see who wins. Earlier on in day 1, it was Pablo Ingo and Bevies who just popped off, being that much more confident off spawn. Have they got a better drop map? Do they have better glides to get in here, strategize, and take apart this duo that's been so momentous and strong immediately already? 1 for 1. As 2 teammates down, Siphons will come in. Matt's be able to get played with. Fully boxed, but then broken out. Shakos is in control up top right now. Major Matt investment. Big shots from Pablo Ingo. You can't even track him inside the air. This is starting off hot. Pablo at almost 0 HP, but a shot will do it for either teammate here. He actually hasn't got the full Siphon finish, so no match, no shields. He's going to back off and maybe even make it a 2v1. Not sure about this decision in total, but maybe Pablo Ingo's cooking.
I don't know whether or not he will be. I think that
Pablo,
will come whether or not he wins the fight, proofs in the puds.
viens, tu
But
vas
the
gagner.
big thing here is
63.
decision making.
Non, oh, let's go, bien vu, Shakos. Oui, bien
I
joué.
loved how he saw both knock bodies, instantly went for the finish to try and get those Cypher mats right. He got the finish, instantly started to build. Before the mats were even in his inventory, he went to build. Those off-spawn instincts on point.
Off-spawn instincts also changing in total for Tini and Misha every single game. I think there was only 1 game where they had the same drop. I think it was game 3 and 5 or 1 and 3, but past that, they've been all around the map.
Yeah, this is something that you don't see typically in an FNCS Grand Final. These guys have been playing drop spot roulette, landing all different areas in the map, and truly one of the most impressive things we've seen in so long, right? You know, for a team to not have a set off-spawn strategy. They just run in and go in all different places in the map, and still being as successful as these guys have been, truly impressive.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if it's bus-based. I'm not sure if it's just on the POIs that are closest to their drop, but the best thing about Misha and Tini we've seen today is just know exactly when a duo's weak. They're very confident in pouncing, and they have the perfect timing in starting fights on day 1. Hopefully they continue that into day 2 and end games get a little bit more consistent, because that's the only thing that's separating them all the way from first place, top of the pack. Meanwhile, Vidil, Savage, issues staying alive together totally in the game, but we've seen some great things from Vidil so far in terms of trying to keep these guys in the competition.
Yeah, I think the problems we've talked about with this duo over the course of the season have materialized at times throughout these games. They've also had some moments where you you could argue they were just truly unlucky, as will happen in any battle royale, but ultimately they have to sort of reboot and come back today stronger with a new mentality, a clear head. Something we did see yesterday, which we've seen again here, is Archie trying to take the fight to the deal. This time though, it looks like it's going to be a fight he wins. He obviously has Jakey fan with him to back him up this time, instead of it being just a straight 1v2. And yeah, it looks like a matter of time before the deal goes down.
Ozavio has no map whatsoever.
Non.
Archie's on that same vibe, but a little bit of a bait and switch. Nice for Archie, picking it up.
Aïe aïe.
Speaking of Archie and Jakey,
C'est chaud pour Vadil et Farid ont déjà retrouvé le
new approach. Yesterday, they were being coached by reigning FNCS champion Veno. This day, they are coming in being coached by Destiny's Jesus and Bloomy.
Okay.
You know, a bit of a downgrade in the pedigree of the names, but trust me, if you know Bloomy and Destiny's Jesus, they both know what they're on about, and I'm sure they will be leading this team in a better direction today, one that will help them recoup a lot more points. So, see whether or not that pays off for them.
Less pressure, maybe a little bit less noisy, who knows, but
definitely a lot less noisy than Archie and Veno arguing at each other all day long. So,
hey, good content though. As is the gameplay you see when Swizzy and Putrick are on your screen. The best so far on day one, and they haven't been too flashy. I feel like this has been the most consistent we've seen a duo on day one. In every end game, they might not be winning every single game, so to speak, or inside the top 2 by any means all the time, but the best thing about them is that they're there grabbing up placements, doing really good at getting elims as well. So far on the day, they look to be having business going as usual. High base looking for surge tags. Murstache, hide on bush, also on your screen. 7th place overall. They're about 100 points behind first. But if you guys have ever watched this duo, day 2 is a rocket ship.
the winner of Game 7 has gone on to be crowned FNCS champs in every EU major this chapter. That's great. I guess we just wrap it up after this tournament, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so whoever wins this game is the FNCS champion. Let's just wrap it all up. No more need for any more games, right?
I feel like we saw that stat last time and it was like just in major 1.
Yeah.
And we said that, yeah, let's just wrap it up after this, jokingly. So this time I think it's serious, yeah.
We can actually wrap it up. Well, look. Who would you want it to be that comes away with the win? Of all the teams who are up there, of course, it's still very close at the top. What team would you want to see take it home?
I like the entire storyline, the up-and-coming one of Blaha and Mixon. And I feel like they've earned their way up to a nice win inside the grand finals as well. This one, I feel like that could be a different thing that happens. Very consistent. They capitalize with the best teams end up making mistakes. A nice game 1 win. We move on.
This team here on our screens that are fighting right now, I would not mind seeing them take it all home. Drop spot roulette into FNCS Grand Finals win is just like unprecedented levels of insanity. And that's what I'm all about. Some people look at it as chaos. Maybe you could consider it a bit of organized chaos, right? Because I guess these are the moments they thrive in. Teeny and Misha, they love to be in fights with people, love catching people off guard. And so if you can load into a lobby and never actually know whether or not you're going to be contested, it plays right into their favor. So
Vlogs TKS also have to deal with so many other people over at Bastion, but looking at it today, it doesn't look to be that congested. There are about 3 different teams fighting here at a time before. Sometimes it was Tini and Misha. They just go for a little bit of search. You gotta take note of that too. Brutal Bastion, a hot drop, right, has that bonus loot. I'm wondering if they're just following POIs, maybe landing around them, that have that bonus loot, and choosing that as the marker for where they want to land.
Yeah, that's been the main goal for them, right?
Yeah.
It's where they can attack vaults, get to have easy access to caches when those start to spawn in, right? They're, you know, again, it's not just completely random. They're not just saying, hey, we're going to land anywhere on the map. There is definitely an element of organization to the chaos, right? So, yeah, you're right. You know, it's not completely random, per se. And hey, maybe we'll see now with their success, more teams trying that approach. Who knows?
That's the dodge having people, you know, stay at your POI 24/7. I mean, if you're Jakey, maybe you're thinking about that.
Yeah, for sure. Jakey, obviously, yesterday didn't have the best time off spawn against Blaha and Mixon, and so opting to move away. And that's what happens a lot of the time, right? Players say, look, day 1 didn't go our way off spawn. Let's try something new day 2. in worst case scenario, the last couple games, they might go right back and see if they can make it happen.
Talking about Game 7 winners as well, I mean, it might be Axe Force, Roban. These guys were a powerhouse on day one. You saw them, you heard them on the map every single game. They had big effects on the whole lobby.
Yeah, I think, you know, we got the chance to speak to Roban, and he seemed pretty chuffed with how they've done so far. I think today his mentality has very much been, we're going to come in and play our game, keep doing the things that were working for us yesterday. Let's not overthink it, let's not, you know, doubt it too much. It's working for us, so hopefully that stays true for them.
Very jobs not done mentality. Melody and Kafi gonna be the receivers of pressure from Gucci right now all the way up top, but lots of damage returned back. I have the confidence in the timing from Melody there. 240 above, so no matter what, the trade's going fine. And Swizzy just jumps in by himself. Thing to note though, you see on the backside, Headress coming in. These guys have third-partied so much all throughout the day, silently as well, so Swizzy's got to be careful or else this Game 7 might just prove to be disaster.
I don't know, man. The way this guy's been moving, I don't know if I'd count him out of any situation, really.
That's a free beam for sure. Next, he's got him and Hedra is now on the same page too. No knocks, but some nice damage.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, getting some damage off earlier on. They're sitting at a very nice spot in terms of their surge.
Might be a little bit early to say because I've just seen like 200 above, 300 above, and the stature of players slightly different, but the Game 1 today versus the Game 1 yesterday looks vastly different. I don't see panic, I don't see disarray. I see calculated takes on fights and rotations all around the map.
Well, I think the benefit is these players have had the chance, right, to get a feel for the lobby and get an experience. And then go back and re-strategize on how they can get surge. Because you're right, we saw so many players struggling with that, especially in the earlier games yesterday.
Dora's not going to make it through as Asa and Slove are also looking for a fight here. In terms of zone, I mean, we're starting it off the same way we did yesterday, up top in the north.
Any surprises there?
Nope.
Yeah.
On one of the hottest days for us in the studio.
Hot day, yeah. We don't get many hot days here, but certainly happening. Anas and Strapped, of course, we got to see them winning a game yesterday. I'm sure all the Danish Fortnite fans will be hoping to see plenty more of that.
Strapped was putting in work.
Yeah, actually, you know, Strapped is the sort of newcomer, the young star that is being nurtured under Anas's wing, and he was certainly showing off why he is considered a young star right now.
Absolutely. I mean, more on Roban, Axe Force, and honestly, what's going on in the early game. Taka, what we got?
Well, Shayo, Robin and Axe Force started off today in a third place position, and a large credit to that is here at Kinjutsu Crossing, they don't waste a single second. From the moment that they touch down at their drop spot, they instantly prioritize sitting inside of that capture point to not only get the loot faster, but instead of immediately collecting the loot, they choose to optimize their loot path instead. They even take an opportunity to try and traverse over to Neon Bay Bridge, but didn't have any success with any surge shots, so instead, they travel further up north from Kinjutsu Crossing. There, they're able to acquire a hollow chest, get an epic mammoth pistol, and an even better surge shot, but they're going to need more damage, and they're going to need to keep the rotations up high. So let's see what they got.
I think one of the biggest sort of things I noticed from a lot of teams yesterday was just not rotating early enough.
Yeah.
Some of the zones were a bit wild, I think the analysts alluded to it, and a lot of zones that players probably haven't got as much practice on compared to others, and so the timing of rotations were a bit off yesterday, and I think we'll see a big change in that here today. This is something we can certainly expect to see more today. Teeny and Misha going for that island. Of course, they want all the loot, all the slurps they can get, and they will certainly fight for it.
Where they had the most trouble is when Pablo Wingo and Bevies actually made it off spawn. They prio this Rift Island so much and will actually box fight so early to get prio on it aggressively. But with them not in the last 4 games of yesterday or the first game today, Teeny and Misha get that space to keep moving. Deox and Kid have been pushed, aggressed, and honestly silenced over and over again in every fight they've taken that I've seen.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of the best opportunities for them to fight for this island, right? The zone pulling towards the north, the island pulling in this brutal bashing area. It gives them a chance to
Ah
play
bah, quand il
forward.
sait
The
qu'il y a
problem is there's a lot of other
une
teams
team
that
qui est morte.
feel the same way. Hey, we're not ever really going to see this here. And so let's go for it while we can get them extra points.
Best part about prioritizing this island as well inside the north zone, from what we saw yesterday, the two zones that were kind of all centered around Brutal. Rift Island stayed in the zone till about zone 8 almost sometimes.
Wow,
right?
il s'est fait
So if
arracher le
you're up
bloc.
here, you get to live here for a long time.
Il va se faire piocher.
Team Misha's trying right now, actually getting so close to shots here. There's actually going in. They're on the other wall, so not sure about this, but Misha, missed opportunity. This has to be a forced fight because of Surge, because
Il
that
est
is
contre
it's not an
d'autres pour
optimal
jouer
type
comme ça,
of fight to
obligé.
take. That's not the best box to push at all from Tia.
Even with Surge stressing
Il
you,
a pas de chance, et le team
Teamy
qui
was
fait mal.
ready and waiting, the patience on
Il a eu de la chance, ce mec en bas, le mec
window
dur.
with it and deal the damage. A nice little bait and switch almost from that duo, but yeah.
Assassiné les
Kane
podeurs,
just
il
left
a
in a
sauvé le
situation
mec
never
sous,
really
vraiment.
should be in. But he's still fighting, he's still kicking.
I don't know if she's just trying to build fights in AC Podesta at that point. That is such a, I mean, 2 metal walls. Not even spraying beforehand. Built in the sky instead, but
Ouais, oui,
we'll see what
oui.
Kay can do.
C'est un mad, il veut pas lâcher le drapeau, wesh, alors qu'il est solo, wesh. Normal.
That will leave a pathway for Teamy and Misha to be able to claim the island. And you can see the flag just slowly being raised. Oh no, someone else is contesting it right now, I believe. Okay, no, they will get it, of course. I thought somebody else had jumped in last second just to pause it. But they will claim it and they'll get the extra points,
J'ai
which
mon gars, on va
again
replay après
just
sur
works
le
out
famille.
beautifully for that duo.
Ils sont pas en dessous de la tâche. Obligé de
Choose them up
qualification
straight to
pour une
second
comme
place
ça.
overall between the 2
Et
days.
septembre, c'est rien de le
Now
dire
there's
comme
going
ça, comme il a
to
fait.
get a nice 30-point lead over Futric and Swizzy, if possible, this game. That's what they're going to be aiming for. Kali Fastroki, a very disruptive duo. In every single major, in every single instance, no matter which team they're on, they're just always causing havoc.
Yeah, I think the good thing about that duo is that they are a team that can be very proactive when need be for Surge, and you can see them obviously camping in the bush there, looking for tags.
Some of the South Tide teams just having a bit of timing trouble coming in, but it's just so tough. All these chasms and valleys, you're not going to be able to cut the way you want to. Got to look out for these bases up top too. If anyone ends up hearing you, seeing you, you're in a load of trouble trying to get up.
I think the good thing is though for those South teams is that some of those valleys allow them to just sort of rotate through with some relative ease. Lucian's still not able to make it into zone, but the problem they'll face now is recouping some of their mats. They need a bit of brick, and to be fair, brick is the most potent material where they're at now. Can be insane. Different version of a team rotating in from the south, and their pathway to it, they're going to opt for a rift in the jungle that allows them to glide all the way in. We'll see whether or not this next zone pulls further out of their favor. Actually pulls north.
Nice.
Probably does benefit them quite a bit. You see them changing the path of the way they glide in now, going straight towards that safe zone, flying and gliding over all these teams beneath them. And they're not even really ducking and weaving with their glide. Nobody's looking at them at all.
Yeah, all the teams that could shoot them are right below, but they see their chance to move first too.
Say just gliding in a straight line. Honestly, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. He's just glided in a straight line and no one's taking a shot at him.
They just know. They know the timing's perfect. They get straight into the mud too. They can get deeper inside Shady. That's exactly what Cammy's trying to do. Said he's popping a few more shots to cover him as he moves. Malubuka Thomas says she don't have the benefit of a rift, don't have a benefit of damage either. This is the roughest I've seen their position.
50 HP pour Malubuka.
I
Il va tomber, Malubuka va tomber là.
I feel like we saw them in so
25
many
HP.
situations yesterday. With
Il y a
late
cette
rotation,
petite
bad
au-dessus de la ferme.
timings. Maybe not down on
Allez, il va
Surge
tomber,
as
dommage.
much.
Yeah.
But this is more of the same from what we saw from them yesterday.
Dommage,
It's the reason why
c'est aussi qui va
this team
tomber.
isn't currently sitting high
Tout
enough
faut
in the
cliquer.
leaderboards to where you'd expect for them.
Une balle, une balle, une
And as
balle.
much as Thomas we know is a crazy aimer,
La balle qui aurait pu nous
that
sauver,
is going
dommage.
to be a fight he's going to win. On to the next game for that duo. Here with money making for Nayano, fighting for Surge and doing it well, way above, and they actually picked up Lush.
Blender box over there as everyone's trying to make sense of what to do. Meanwhile, Chicho Trulex moving in. Very nice builds to make sure you're not getting shot too much as you move. I think in this rift, you're going to have to move around a little bit. You can't white line the whole way through.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that allows them an inch of safety is the fact that there's a bunch of other players rifting with them. So many players.
40 players almost.
The sound of the rift keeps kicking in.
You got your island party, that's island party.
Yeah, look, that is the island party we've been talking about. Everybody rifting. Another one I just heard.
2.
Wow. So many players in the sky, and that's why they are in the end able to just sort of white line and straight line their way in. There's so many targets for people to take shots at that allows them to sort of go away unscathed.
L'autre est son troisième de 72 points.
Kylie, the one player in the whole lobby that missed the riff.
This is so sad.
Il est mort lui.
Able to move though, very
Il est mort, non?
Med spawn,
Ah mais il est mort.
not really going to be able to be
Il y avait
taken.
une cache à côté.
He's taking surge damage as well.
Le coffre peut-être.
I
Oui,
mean,
Steph. Il y a un
the
petit
people
peu.
just to pay respects.
Il pourra pas
No,
le
it's all
prendre.
good. Happens.
It happens.
Skyder and Shakos holding on to one of the upper parts of the map, looking for control, and we saw how they usually had that plan for the Rift Island all through yesterday. It's one of the first times to see them not actually close to the island, but because sometimes it doesn't really spawn near the spire, so they have to actually switch up plans, do something different, and then we're going for early in these later zones.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that
Pas
different.
les gros
Just
sont
have
parce
the
que
great
s'ils
loot
se
at the
pètent le
bottom.
breuvage, il y a
Yeah,
quoi?
slurps
Ah,
to play
ouais,
with.
plus lent. On va se péter un breuvage.
Unfortunately, they're a bit of an overpeak. Means they'll probably have to pop a slurp a bit earlier than he needed to.
Machete pulls over towards the glaciers once again, so everyone has to go all the way back. But the issue with this one is that there's a very big cliff separating Shady and then moving back into that winter type of zone. So anyone on low ground has to be very wary of what's going down. That low ground goes deep, has water in it too, so anyone down here has to deal with the pressure from Shakos, Putrick, and everyone from up above, and all these thirsty players who need surge down below. You'll notice you don't have an instance outside of my voice where shots aren't being fired.
Yeah, such an awkward terrain to really get searched from. You see everywhere, every angle that Hedra tries to look at, there just wasn't really a clear and obvious place to take shots at somebody from.
A lot of the time people will base up their first clear out sight lines. Since no one was on this right side of the map immediately, there's so many trees up. And this entire field of play looks like a sinusoidal function. Just going up and down and up and down. You can't really track any type of straight sight line. We're going deeper into the glaciers now. So for the majority of the lobby, it's a max move. Chitro, Trulex, DKS, Anas, and Strap, who I think are taking surge damage, all just have to move. Skavi and Vacant, that's the POV we're watching right now. A max rotation.
Yeah, and they all gotta go up that glacier, right? It's not an easy path to get up into zone. If you don't have materials, it's gonna get real tough for you.
59. Wow.
This is just absolutely no
Là,
chance.
ça
I don't know
retarde
what
parce
type of
que
miracle
tu touches là.
Skavi's gonna pull out
J'ai rien
here.
touché.
Might just go straight for an Elam if they can. A double up, yeah. They can
Ouais,
hit the
faut
shield,
toucher
maybe
une balle.
cracking behind them. This is gonna be
Nickel.
tough. Unfortunate
récupérer une
for
nickel.
Hedra. Lost in the moment. And now there's 3 glaciers for
Toujours en
these
dessous de la
guys to climb.
sta-
Yeah, but at least he gets a slurp right at.
Wesh, 38 heures, tout
Go a
pareil.
long, long way for them. They can mushroom their way up as well.
Allez. Breuvage,
Even though
breuvage.
big damage being taken, if
Continue.
you can find some space, that's where the slurp kicks in and gives them the room to stay alive in this game.
That's just part 1 though. They might seem safe right now, but that's just from the jungle. They still have to move. And there's so many people also doing the same thing. Shaco, Skydune, maybe even tempting heights. Anas right behind them. Swizzy, big fights. Cone in the box, but no fish to be caught.
Yeah, you can see these guys so active, so proactive. Both players constantly trying to make plays. Maybe if they'd waited a second and Putrick was there ready to claim the cone, they could have maybe snuck in that limb quickly, but now the focus on the moving zones. First moving, pulling back down towards the southwest.
24 points pour le moment.
Flapjack, Mammoth Pistol, Breacher, 4 slurps. Is that not the wave for Swizzy? I mean, he's got the firepower. Look at the brains from Seti though.
Yeah, look, who's rotating on dead side. Is there any surprises here? None whatsoever. These guys gonna look to build up now as well.
Wow.
Asserting their dominance over this lobby right now.
Est-ce qu'ils vont jouer le
Going
right ou
over
pas
to height on the other side of the zone and saying, look, you guys want to hold it? We got a really solid base over here. And this might be a
Ça joue le right, hein.
height hold from Kami and Seti.
They're going forward. Chari Gear is moving under them, so they might look to disrupt anything that happens or just use their power as a shadow for themselves. Suzy Putrick had so much trouble getting in, but just one slurp really keeps their chances high and alive. Saving on mats too. I'm liking Swizzy not covering on this dead left side.
Really nicely done as he moves back down.
Bien joué.
Skibby doing his best to keep his team fighting in this game. Dexy taking out
Le
for even
petit passe
more.
dessus.
trying for it, but now a little bit of a just mishap
Passa
on
uma
where he
tocou,
moves.
boa.
In the zone though, so he can take a pit stop right here. Him and Vico, solo clutching, box to box.
Yeah, but Vico's working with a lot
Nice,
less
Vico.
HP. And Skivvy will take great advantage of that, snatching the breacher shotgun as well. All the potential for plays now.
Como que fala?
Thing
Que
is,
eu
that
já
potential
falei
might run out because he has no space or room to keep moving. We'll zoom up a little bit, see exactly what Teeny and Misha are doing, playing inside the future.
É,
Inside the
são
front
meio
part of the zone,
idiota,
they're really trying to claim as much land as
Eles
possible.
éloignés, wesh. Ah ouais, je veux vraiment éloigner avec son mate.
Teeny,
De
a
tout.
haircut almost given for free, but now there's a cost of a few mats. Pressure and time. Has to run away, left side still open. Said he Kemi, do not stop the rain from above.
São meio
Yeah,
que
such a
que
difficult
fazem
zone
aqui
for
tout
anybody
seuls.
to take height off them, and I think that's why they feel so
Dá
comfortable.
vraiment pas peur, hein,
Height
mec,
so
vraiment.
early, and it's working out a charm.
Everything down below is just moving, mission, mash. There's no way people can even look up for 2 seconds. So free for Seti and Kemi for now.
Can't
And a nice
see
edit from
Craig.
Suzy as well. He's making this look
The
absolutely
HP.
flawless. Steamy, a hot knife through butter, still tracking.
Right,
Maybe
right,
a bit too intense and entranced inside the fight. Swizzy now has to just box up, no mats available either. His last shot now.
Pinot,
Swizzy
wesh.
was getting flashy on us.
Pas dommage de mettre il y a un HP, wesh. Donc il tire bien joué,
And that one
nickel.
will connect it. Skivvy that
Récupéré.
falls, trying to look for heals, and the med miss is perfect. Allows him to stay in that zone a bit longer, but the height team is watching.
Il faut
They're
qu'il fasse
waiting,
quelque chose.
waiting for anybody to flank them. They're just trying to take them down. But Swizzy still staying alive. They've lost attention on him, and he can now just scurry around in the zone, look for it, and he might just find it.
I like that movement. One more shot all the way up here. He needs to get that
Ah,
cypher,
dommage,
but
il va
no.
tomber.
Even for 1
Ah,
second,
voilà, mais
Seti
il
does not
a
let
mis
him go
tuer
for free.
toujours.
These guys are online from above.
And they're gonna
Maintenant, on
keep
part
it
de
going,
soutien.
all the pressure on these teams down below, and Chicho gonna be forced to run into this low ground team.
He's been squeezed, exhausted to get to this point. Goes all the way towards the right, finds some legs, but doesn't connect here. Ooh,
pas de
magnetic
chou.
towards the left and has the room to move right as that player heals. Can't pop up and
Oh,
gets
bien
another
joué.
shot. How are you alive? How are you doing this? Doesn't matter. So many mats to work with, 2 more boxes to build. He's earning this 3rd place.
Backside of the zone, and Chicho is
Bon, il
cooking.
doit qu'en plus, il est
He picks
facile.
up another Charlie
Pourquoi pas
zone
notre
that
deuxième?
goes down, and he's looking
Oh là là, ah, le deux.
How has Chicho done this? He's made it happen, and it looks like it's a 2v1 now.
Ah, Camille,
Look up
c'est
top,
plutôt meilleur,
Kiri
dommage.
is there too. Chicho. This man is
ça va
online,
être
not
chouette,
showing
il va
any
aller
has, but that's
dessus.
gonna be the difference maker.
Ouais.
No chance for him as this high ground
Il
team
a pas
usurps the lobby
idée, ce
leaders who
mec.
were pushing through and wins that first game.
Kiri has managed to do it. They took height incredibly late. Seti and Kami look so strong up
Je
there.
vois comment il se fait
But
rentrer
while
dedans.
Chicho
C'est
was
bon,
going
c'est
ham down below, they snuck up there and took it for themselves. No idea what Pings has changed his name to, by the way, but fair enough. EU Fortnite Classic, regardless, though, a big win for that duo.
That's just huge. I mean, there's gonna be so much talk about how they got this height take. This is just
Ouais,
huge.
c'est un malade,
On top
lui.
of Seti, all the way inside that 10,
Ah,
11
donc,
zone.
c'est
And then
mort,
past that, I mean,
il
Chicho
est
just
un peu
carved
dangereux, mais
up
parce
a
que
masterpiece on low ground.
Zéro.
Very fun, exciting, back and forth type game. Look at Kiri popping off.
Yeah, you see the emotion, how much it means
Il a
to
des
them,
réactions,
because
c'est dingue.
these guys had such big expectations. They were dreaming of a top FNCS performance, and it looks like that dream is coming alive now, Shayo.
Hey, talk about patterns. Every Game 7 winner this year in this FNCS has been the champion. So, who knows? Kiri, big up.
They might be
Même
taking it
si
home. They
classement,
might be
c'est à
taking
fond
it
le
home.
corps.
Let's not get too ahead
Il y
of
a
ourselves.
beaucoup,
We're
oui.
going to give it back to Ian to break that game down.
Levin Shayo, thank you very much. Things you'll love to see, right? Kiri popping off on the player cam. He was a lot more calm and composed when we had him on the show yesterday for a little bit of a chat,
Yes, sir.
but he was extraordinarily confident, and rightly so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we spoke to him yesterday. He said sometimes he'll go to the gym before. He's a little bit nervous yesterday, so he didn't. Maybe today he's been lifting those weights because he's lifting the lobby.
Yeah, he's full pumped up, ready for the first game of the day, Game 7. And like Shayo said, based on history, Game 7 winners went on to taking home the whole FNCS of the major. So you never really know what could happen.
Do you believe in that? Do you think it could happen again?
I would like to see it happen. I think this team have what it takes. We talked about them a lot going into this weekend, about how good they are, how consistent they can be when it comes to these sort of late games. And even like going into this this weekend, they had a really, really solid week number 3 in terms of the weekly qualifiers. So lots of big expectations on this team. And it was one of those teams that we didn't really speak too much of before that.
Yeah, they really took height at the perfect time, too. I was looking, Cammy said it the whole game. I saw Mini Miner smiling his prediction, and then all of a sudden, the game ends. We look up. Kyrie's just up there. They take it.
It is. I know we said it there, but when you get that insight, the player cam, the footage of the reaction, it just goes to show that momentum, that power it gives you, getting that first win on the board on day 2.
Yeah, it's not even just the points, it's not those eliminations, it is that mental side of things, that motivation, it's that realization that, you know what, we can actually do this, we can actually push for those global championship spots, maybe even go all the way as well.
Maybe, you know, it's all up to the upcoming matches, but like Minnie said, they've got the motivation, they're all fired up, and now it's just make it happen.
A lot of opposition stand in their way over the next 5 games, though. So let's take a look at the standings. The lay of the land at the top of day 2. And as you can see, Swizzy and Putrick maintain their spot at the top of the leaderboard, but there is some movement amongst them, especially in the mid between 1 and 10 there.
Yeah, there is. I mean, Swizzy and Putrick did a fantastic job in that end game, particularly Swizzy hitting so many crazy damage shots, just keeping their team alive, and that's what you need in this situation. When you're a team at the top of the leaderboard, you need those solo clutches. You need to try and clutch at any placement points and, of course, elimination points that you can. And Swizzy, what a performance.
Yeah, and you can see how looted up they are. Mythic Flapjack, double inventory with the Mythic Slurps. They, just like we reviewed in the pre-show, did their early game route, got their Storm Surge early, got their high card, got their vault, and set themselves up for an incredibly strong end game to continue with that consistency, which is exactly what they have to do, being in the first place spot.
I love Swizzy right here, using this Breacher's shotgun exactly how it's meant to be used, playing just a couple of boxes away, getting that damage off from that range. Of course, it only has 1 pellet, so it's going to do guaranteed damage, and he couldn't quite make it happen at the end, but a solid 6th place finish for that team. That's really going to get off to a good start here.
Absolutely, and Chicho right in the depths of that end game. Yeah. Phenomenal performance.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of changes on the mid half of this leaderboard. Even our game winners, Kiri and his duo partner, went up 21 placements. But let's look at Chicho here, a little highlight from their game. You can see legendary loadout and a legendary playstyle. We saw what he was capable of in those last moments. That solo clutch was looking like annihilation.
Yeah, I mean, this is just something that we talk about when it comes to this duo, the consistency throughout. They haven't actually picked up a victory royale yet in these first 7 games, and that's just typical Chicho and Trulek. Even all the way back in Chapter 3 when they were landing at Rocky Reels, it just screamed consistency, and that is what we're seeing yet again. They're making these end games. Chicho doing a fantastic job. That man in 2nd place, holding on to that placement. Solid start.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the standings again here. A lot of this is about maintenance, especially if you can start and hold on to your position somewhere amongst that top 10, then you got off to a good start, and we saw some teams do that here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Of course, Misha and Teeny as well. Out of a hat and saying, yeah, we'll land there. It's working though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, they're in 3rd place playing the roulette drop spot mini game. I don't even know what they're doing here, but it is working. The leaderboard in the top half is incredibly close from 1st to 3rd to 4th. Anybody can take it home. Even just in the top 10 in general, anything can still happen. I see Cammy and Seti there as well in 5th place, maintaining that consistency like we know that they love to do.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff from this duo, and I really like the way that they rotated that 9 zone. Perfectly played, dead side positioning, and they saved so many materials. Even earlier on, thinking back to that rift that they used inside of the storm, so many materials saved, not even tagged up 1 bit, but unfortunately we saw it right there at the end, just ran out of steam right at the very last minute. We can see Seti right here with 0 builds, just didn't have anything left in the tank, and that's where they lost time.
It's kind of that change in playstyle, right? We're not used to seeing them on the high ground, but now that they start doing it more, they actually took high ground incredibly early, and unfortunately ran out of materials before they could finish off the match, but still a huge first game for Cammy and Seti.
That's something we haven't really seen too much from them, is that getting those high ground refreshes. We've seen them take height, we've seen them do good from there, but it's actually converting some eliminations into refreshes so they can keep it. I want to see more from them on that front.
Well, Kiri and Azua, the latest Victory Royale winners, massive leapfrog, massive jump, 20.
was such a difficult zone as well. I doubt we get that many more difficult zones, but now that I've said that, every zone will be just like that.
A confidence, dominance from so many teams, but let's rock it back for another game. Game 8 for the EU Finals. It all starts over at the Spire, game after game after game. We get to see if Pablo Wingu and Bevies are unleashed from their chains and get to just run the lobby.
Yeah, I'll be real. I think
Bon, on espère qu'ils vont encore gagner le spawn.
Bevies, if they just were uncon at the Spire, I think they just win grand so easily.
Yeah.
Like I think it would like be like a 300-point blowout. Like I'm not even kidding. Like they played 2 games and they had a 50-point lead, and like they have just looked really good this season. Like I just think they just win grands realistically.
I feel like Shakos and Skydolin are just plot armor for like the rest of EU. If they're not in the lobby, everyone else is in trouble.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But look, the fight will begin again, and once again it just looks like Skydolin and Shakos just have the better drops, and so they will take Bevies down without really much of a chance for him to respond. Both of them have shotguns. It's just not much Pablo Wingu.
Bien joué.
That's it.
Bon, Shakos gagne le
I'm just
spawn.
wondering, like between these players, between the 2 days, nothing really seems like it's changed so much so for Pablo and Bevies.
All that could have changed is just them having better drops.
Yeah.
I'm sure last night they just did drop spot practice for hours and hours, but ultimately
need a few more hours.
Nothing's clicking. Nothing's clicking. They need that God drop map, but they don't seem to have it.
Well, with Thomas trouble in that last game, you were saying, Levin, that it's kind of similar to what we saw before. I think the biggest difference for me was just seeing them so down bad on Surge, not even being able to clutch it after the fact. That was the only non-normal thing, at least with this duo, in terms of the struggles we see for them game after game.
Yeah, I think historically they've always been able to be better on that front. But yesterday, that looked like a standing game for them yesterday, where they're just behind on things, struggling with Surge, and just can't find anything out of it. And that's tough to see, because I think you look at how talented these guys are, and they're, to me, the 2 best players in the world of Fortnite to never win an FNCS, like easily. And so, hey, we'll see whether or not things start to click for them as the day goes on. But I think what we've seen overall this season is that many of the best teams in EU were struggling to really figure things out.
Hey, this is now statistically one of the best teams, and they're not struggling whatsoever. Misha, Tini, looking good.
Another new drop for them. Well, not new. They landed here actually, I think, in one of the games yesterday. But new on the day, right? Obviously, this game landing elsewhere, and a similar strat to what we saw yesterday, where they are just very much camping this tower. And again, it's like they will just sit here and wait for someone to walk in. Props to them. Hopefully, we tune in back with them when somebody's walking in.
We'll check it out across the map. Jakey Archie this time. Oh,
Wow, il a déchiqueté.
Jakey,
Wow.
the
Parce
magnet,
qu'il a mis la PS.
and the Archie reboot.
Again, this is just not what I was expecting. If you told me that Archie and Jakey fan were going to be giving Mr. Savage and video problems, I would not have believed you. This is crushing for me. These are 2 of the biggest fan favorites. It's Archie and Mr. Savage. Like, my heart's torn it.
You want both to do well?
Yeah.
In this game, neither might if Roban has his way. Boxed up is Jakey down below. This is going to be tough. Hunt down 2, and Archie doing a good job of actually getting some cover fire down. This fight will last just a little bit. They got Zora next to him, so they'll be able to keep moving. Another right side, north-ish type situation, looming in the distant future. Now we're getting close to personal. Roban breaching through these walls, trying to get it done. He's going to take him. But we're on 2 fronts. I mean, I feel like Archie and Jakey is going to make a move soon. Hit a nice shot to at least stop the momentum these guys clearly have.
Moi, je trouve qu'on dirait c'est lui qui a déjà, parce que hier...
They just have to make it happen, and a nice peek from Archie. Misses that shot though, and that will cost
Non, Archie, qui pas Archie.
He could have maybe
Il va
survived.
tomber Archie, dommage.
Archie had been able to make it a 1v1. There was always going to be some element of hope, but Roban and Axels get the job done, like you said they would. They are so confident in those types of fights.
If you never check them, they just keep building so much momentum. You get out-pressured. There's nothing you can really do. It's really fun to watch that duo fight. Misha and Tini, we missed the surprise jumper. No elims right now. no mats either. They're kind of all in for this strat. And if it doesn't work out, how do you bring your game back from here? I mean, there's so many teams. You saw that map update around Brutal Bastion. Loot's basically gone at this point. I still know somehow these guys are going to get like top 3.
I think we know how, man. They're just going to fight. Like, what more can they do? They just got to fight.
How do you fight with no mats?
They ain't got the loot. They just got to fight. Jump in box. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
That's all they can do.
Let's check out and see if their stealth roll was good.
Yeah, so they did try to sneak, but apparently it didn't work, I'm guessing, because they ain't got their limbs. Let's look. Yeah, he was alert. Yarko was aware. He's already had a beef with them in the past. I'm sure every building he enters now, he just knows there's a chance Misha and Tini could be there.
Gotta have anti-Misha Tini tech. No more doors, break walls only.
Break walls.
Every building across the whole map. All of EU. How many doors were open? I need to see the stat. It better be 0.
Yeah. Can't take any chances with those guys around you, right?
Definitely. Different game entirely. I feel like every time you do this, I feel like I'm watching Chapter 2 all over again.
Well, yeah, Swizzy's very familiar with the Citadel, right? He used to land here with Shimoki, and so very much should understand Surge, and I think that's been part of why they've been successful, because he does understand Surge from this area of the map. He has a good grip on it.
Conversation frantically just trying to get into the next zone. They're looking to see if they can bring this day back from the shambles that was game number 1. Fight starting already. Thomas is trying to track his way through it. But no mas for now. He's gonna just hit that reset button, reload up, and try again another time.
I think the big thing that I hope today is much different from this duo is their fighting power. There was too many times where we saw them in fights that you typically expect Thomas HD and Malabuka to win, and they just didn't quite have enough to get it done. And so I hope today back to their winning ways when it comes to fights.
Bare knuckle brawl for Chicho there. I mean, whoever he's fighting, both of them like, all right, let's just spray the whole mag. Whoever gets more tags, gets more tags.
I mean, when you're looking for Surge, you know.
It makes sense. I was about to say like Chicho won, but his opponent's hitting after the bell.
Always gotta get the last laugh.
At the assembly, everyone's doing a clap, you know, you want to get that last one in. 20 minutes later, you're still here. Yep. Across the room.
Nobody wants to be the person that doesn't get the last clap, right?
It's true. Difference for the majority of EU right now. I mean, you saw a lot more composure in that first game because a lot of people got to VOD review and check out those north zones, right? Very different from day 1, but how is experience for a lot of the teams on the Shattered Slab side of things? On the Citadel. These end games too can be a little bit finicky. I know the playground doesn't look white in total in terms of terrain, but there still aren't many big cliffs. There's a big moat around that Citadel as well. I mean, there's a lot of terrain that you will not expect in this type of endgame.
I'm looking at Cammy here, and just a moment ago he was up by his cache, and I think that's been one of the keys to Cammy City's success. Their ability to get to their caches much sooner than other players and really just lock it down. Not even have to worry about a team really contesting them for it.
I feel like in that last game, they were locked in 100%, had the caches, had the good position. This game, they're activated. Like, they just let, I feel like, Kiri and Pink, they get up top, weren't as vigilant for someone to have that type of height take. This time, completely aware what's going to be going on around them. No chance they lose height or a game like that again.
I think the main problem with that last game, right, is just they ran out of steam. They didn't have the mats. When you hold height from that early on and you don't quite get enough of the loot from any limbs you get, you're just going to run out of mats by last moving zone. It is just a foregone conclusion. Your only hope is that the players beneath you have also run out of mats, which in their case didn't quite happen. But I really like that play from them. I think ultimately it was the right idea behind that game plan, and so If Seti and Cammy are going to keep on coming in with the right strategies, maybe Mini Miners onto something. Maybe they are going to be the team that sneaks up and eventually walks away with the whole thing. Jakey and Nathan, unfortunately, much similar fortune to them going down early on in this game. Not quite off spawn, but still not going to be making it past this third zone.
Kali Fast Stroke is going to be able to just eat good in terms of getting some extra metal, siphon mats, some points on the board. Asgard Trippin, meanwhile, still just hitchhiking across the map, base to base. Up inside the jungle once more. This team's been very interesting. I feel like, you know, depending on the game, they look to be completely on the same page, locked in, moving really well, or they're just climbing back from a monstrous like gap between them and everyone else in Surge. I'm not sure if it's zones that have to do with it, but the day one was a bit unorthodox with where they had to go. And only hope for better games on day two. Put aside Snazy, put aside one of the coolest clutches we saw in day number one for the Victory Royale. He wants to keep that momentum going, but we need some consistency from these guys now. It can't just always be a flashy play outside of Glacier. Need some hard hitting strats that work well for them game after game.
Yeah, 100%.
Whoa.
And I think they'll very much know that. I'm hearing though, Shayo, that we had a sneaky beaky play that we missed out on, so we're going to send it to Taco to update us on that. What happened, Taco?
That's right, Levin. It's been the battle of the north here over at the mountains of Brutal Bastion. DKS and Voxy with the perfectly planned surprise attack here onto Svi. He was trying to acquire surge tag damage for Svi and Bacon duo pairings, but instead it's going to be a forced retreat, but the wind tunnel interruption on both of them. Bacon with the immediate backup to push DKS and Voxy further down the mountain and away from being able to actually finalize that elimination onto Svi. However, that puts V and Bacon in a really awkward position because now they have to rotate. Now they have to look for a different sort of surge strategy if they want to find themselves. So it's a launch pad out, heading further north, looking to travel dead side and see what they can do.
Shout out to Svi for being able to get out of that one alive. But how on earth did he not notice them climbing up that massive mountain? Like, my brother, you gotta be scanning beneath you at least every once in a while. Like, he had no clue they were up there. My oh my.
He's got some like crisps in one hand, other hand's on the mouse looking at people flying.
He was chilling. He was chilling up there. This is what I want to see though, Shia. Look who's up on the Rift Island. One of the first times we've seen them really fight for the flag. Malibuka and Thomas clearly want to change their fortunes today.
4 teams now, 5 coming in very soon. And yeah, the last time we saw them on top of this island, they're on top of the house. Looking like they were relaxed kings, yeah?
I think we got 7 on it.
7?
I think that's like two different sets of arrows landing on it as well.
I'm not sure if I'm hearing brick falling or rifts popping now.
Oh man.
But more teams are on the way. There's another glide. 8 teams!
I said I wanted to see 10. I said I wanted to see 10.
No way.
I've got to do the maths on this. I think someone's been, okay, the bonus I'm saying I think are below, but there's a lot of people up there.
They're just waiting. It's like a fuse.
Yeah, so the thing you often see, right, when there's a bunch of teams up there, like you'll get this in like the last qualifying game for like a cash cup, right? So if it's like the round 1 of a cash cup, or even if it's like maybe like round 2 of an FNCS qualifier, last games you'll often see like a bunch of teams on there, but when they realize there's too many, they'll just drop off, right? Because it's like, there's just no point. Like, we ain't got the slurps to outhill people. Let's just drop down. So I'm expecting at some point a lot of these guys will drop off, but people are staying right now.
7 teams so far, I think.
Wow.
Almost 8.
That's crazy.
9.
Oh my goodness.
Glorifier's had to give up height.
What am I
They weren't expecting. Where do they even go? There's no room. People in Rumble Ruins are just looking and like, listen, we can't really shoot anyone down here. If you don't have an angle towards the top of Rift Island, we gotta just rift up and see if we can get surge ourselves in a box fight. No one's going down yet either. Misha, Tini, you're asking, you know, I guess I was asking, how do they switch up their game, just box fight? This is the best fight to be a part of. 10 different teams?
This is a fight they would love to be a part of, right?
They're moving.
Should I get in? I said get in box, but I didn't think they'd be so direct about it. Look at this. What am I seeing?
He gets hit for 160, still keeps moving forward. Misha does not care. And somehow Teeny's still alive. They did this in front of 10 other teams, 4 of which are on their lair. That shouldn't be possible. Again, dropped down, but got to pop the slurp. So Misha is looking healthy. Malabuka activated too. Yes, Teeny trying to run away. Not today, not this time. And now you can see the confidence rolling through. Breacher's switch up. Malabuka's looking strong.
Very strong. And a big change in pace. I'll love to get the update on their surge situation, right? It looks and feels like they've done a lot more damage this game than they have in others. Misha finally getting taken out there by Blurfire and Skrill. So, yeah, their aggression finally being punished.
Still, in terms of recuperating what they've invested over here on this island, you got to remember, they were the high ground team. They were about 5 stories up. They used a lot of mats to claim their spot over here. Everything you see up top is Skrill and Blur. I think half on mats for each player. They got to find a way to come back.
Yeah, this is most definitely qualifies as an island party for sure. What we have seen in this game.
Oh man, Podosai, they didn't jump in the pool, Evan, like everyone else. These guys
You know what, when you go to a party, there's always them guys that are just standing in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to start dancing or getting involved. They just stand at the side of the room.
on their phone. No one knows I'm in the FNCS Grand Final.
And the guys that open up their phones and scrolling through the weather app and stuff, trying to look busy. That's what these
Open
guys
the camera, close the camera.
Oh man.
Podosai gotta just get the rhythm, rock with the music now. It's time to really party.
You see, they pop the slurps and they're popping slurps out here. I want to see them just jump in the box, right? Like, you ain't getting tags from here, my friend. There's plenty of players for you to jump in on, and plenty of players on the island that need to also jump in. It's a win-win situation. Let's all just fight. I'm down.
Here it goes. Podosai moving in. Takes 2 shots.
Get in. That's what I want to see. 2 teams desperately needing surge. Let's just fight. Forget all the long talk. Just fight. 2 shots, that's all it took.
Basket down, now these guys are having fun. It still seems like there's 86 teams on this island. Everyone else is hiding way on edge zones. Some people below. Inside Rumble Ruins. Once again though, I feel like confidence is back. Thomas taking long range shots. And while everyone looks good, the rest of the lobby is still kind of activating on their own. Trulex still finding a few eliminations. And at the same time, Vico trying to climb up the ranks again. He gets his own too. Chicho finally down though, so they're trading back and forth on the other side of the map. Traxxer may be taking a little bit of damage from Surge. I'm not sure what it is, but he's in the box right ahead. Malabuka does hear that. He has the breacher. I mean, if he's looking confident, I feel like Malabuka pushes that fight.
I mean, you'd think so. Maybe again, just cautious and wary of how many teams are here with them. And as much as the island's been crazy, one player is rotating from the Rumble Ruin side. This is very much the congested side of the zone if you couldn't figure that out for yourself. And we're seeing the effects of it. Players dancing around each other, just trying to get tags along the way, fighting along the way. Swizzy finally finding some mud, and that will just allow them to slide in just a bit quicker. But still very much behind so many different teams, and gonna even look to take shots at some of these teams. Anchor's gonna be his next victim.
I'm watching a chapter 4 season 1 trailer. Like this is crazy. Sliding with mud, moving in. Swizzy's good. This is really important for them. Just to get past this point, they have to hold on to that lead. 50 points becomes 60 points, becomes 70. Another big max rotate for them to use and move with. But they know everyone's gonna be landing right beside them.
Yeah, and it's so difficult for those teams. Slove and Asa way on the other side of the zone where it isn't as congested, and so just going for some box fight plays. Eventually then getting caught in the storm and still looking to fight. But that once again plays right into their hands. Artists falling in their sights.
They're part of the pack that has to make that big rotate. No one's even on that left side, except for, like I said, he can be. I don't even need to see him, but
yeah, zone pulling southeast kind of just puts them and the whole lobby in between where they need to go. So they're gonna have to get creative on this rotate, especially with the mats Slove's working with. They're gonna have to get real lucky with the timings. But you can see him making it work so far, and it's actually happening for them. Slove barely having to use many builds, finally starting to run into a bit of trouble. The players ahead of them looking back, and yeah, it was just a matter of time until somebody got a big tag on. But Asa's clearing the way.
There was a big brick drop just right beside him. Missed it as he dropped down. Slightly further back, 3 builds.
Props to Asa, because he made that rotation work even with the minimal amount they had to work with.
It's huge. Might have to just still move again. I think the best thing they can hope for maybe is a bounce back.
I think we get a pullback.
You think so?
I think we get, but we always get pullbacks on the 8th, so
I feel like we go even further southeast.
It's going north. It's going north. I know I've read the script. I've seen it way too many times. We always get that 8th zone pullback, it feels like. And that will save some of those teams we just saw rotating in struggling, right? It'll give them an extra minute to breathe and think as they path their next rotation out. For the teams all the way on the other side of the zone, the Kylies, the Fastrokis, they start to make their move, but they have a lot more space to work with.
Everyone else is thinking, taking their time, stressed about the box beside them. Anyone who had really good position is to keeping that position. You see all the way on the bottom side, people making big curves. From the west side all the way to the east around him, it's Axforce Roban. I'm really liking this rotate.
Yeah, for sure. It puts him in a good spot for when the 8th zone plays out to be in the dead side of the zone.
Ooh, but Huddy focusing on him. One team can make the difference if they're locked onto your sides, and they have no one else to really look at. So I feel like Roban gets shot again, but now they have to move too. So them getting in the zone gives Axforce a little bit of time to get in the zone too. Still dangerous teams beside him.
Yeah, and having to use the brick and metal he has left. There's some wood here for him to farm, but people already farmed it down to just 1 hit, so don't even bother to knock down that tree.
Distance from Axforce and Roban, just cut him off on the bottom right, but balls down. Meanwhile, on the left, where there's still a few knocks going through and through, Karmi's down. Shaco's confident position again. They tried for height 1 time. Looks like they're gonna just hold on to it for now. Not in a dominant way, but this might just be their lair.
Yeah, again, just not looking necessarily to dominate height, to play on these high layers where there isn't going to be anyone on their layer to give them problems.
Everyone who's kind of passing by them is just looking to survive. No one's trying to just get into this specific box. Desperation, absolute shambles is below them. And they can interact with that too, right? As soon as this zone starts to move, we're going up again. This is unfamiliar, uncharted territory. Might be some old builds under Rift Island, but this is a zone that everyone's going to have to use mats for once more.
Surprise, surprise, look who it is. Once again, trying to claim height first moving. Clearly, after watching back the games yesterday, Cammy and Seti realizing that there was a big gap in this lobby for somebody to play height first moving. And even though this isn't a typical style, they are making things work.
They're gonna put all the pedal to the metal now. They have to get as many points as possible from height for the moment. That might be a shot for them too. Axforce 1 HP as he tries to move. Yeah, it was Cammy that took out Roban. Axforce in an absolute shambles position now. But finds a big shot on the goal to just keep it moving.
Doesn't get the chance to go for the loot though, has to focus on zone. And if I was him, maybe I would have gone for it because, yeah, eventually goes down.
Everyone's going to be just absolutely bombarded down below, and there's so many little bit of layer switches on what natural low ground is. You got to just keep watching out. Nice team beam from Swizzy and Putrick. Up top on height, Cammy and Seti have to do everything to get as many eliminations right now. They will run out of gas. It's tough for them to drop down and get refreshes. Need to convert on points very early.
One of them has to commit though. One of them will have to go down and look in the zone. Maybe if they have slurps, pop a slurp, run in the zone, get some mats and get back up, because they can't afford what happened last game to happen again.
You saw the pressure from Rift Island though, and what's happened earlier on in these zones. No one really has any mats. Awesome, beside a generator inside the water. It's trying anything you can just to blend in. Inside Malabuka's box, 1 HP free from Malabuka. So I'm not sure if he needs them this time. The clutch, the drive, the movement from him is looking really good.
Malabuka is so clean when he's in his element in that flow state. And it looks like he's kicking in right now. Wrapping back around into the zone, but there will be players tearing up above. You see the height takes come through again. Cammy and Seti, they look like they're losing it all. Swizzy and Putrick have come for what is rightfully theirs. And it looks like they will be able to hold on.
They lead the lobby, now they lead the sky, sitting on top of their throne above everyone else. Basically just one more zone to go here. Seti's still alive though, so he might have lost height, but the game's not totally lost for him just yet.
Yeah, it does have those slurps to play around with. One splash, and the bandage is even being popped.
So many solos in front of him, so all Seti has to do is just wait.
Wait his moment, wait his time, the opportunities will be there. They might collide at some point. He's wary of height though, he knows there's someone behind him now. He's heard the pressure going off from Seti, but he won't really the timing doesn't work in his favor.
Just 1 second to shoot, that's it. The Medmist has to be held. Swizzy Putrick now down below. Kali Fashoki somewhere around them. Seti gets Malabuka inside the storm. More chances for him to keep moving. Suzy completely out of gas. Seti might be rolling in from the backside to look for another shot real soon. He's going straight for height. Height. 2 more mats, 2. Big shot from Kali though, and a return, but not enough. Kali holds on at the cost of Fashoki.
And now he just has to finish up the game. But look who he has to do it against. It's Swizzy and Putrick, and they're feeling mighty fine, mighty strong. This game has been so good for them. To even get to this point is just a sign of their dominance. Why they've led the way. But Kali will do his best to stop it. Takes down one. Looking for the big shot to the 1v2. He should never win in that situation against the lead. But Kylie is Kylie. He is him. And he wins the game.
From the clouds, lightning fast decision making. Double edits, blocks, 2 shots off. He made it look perfect. Kylie, what a win.
In his element, making it look easy. It looks like he's fighting in creative at the end there. Runs till it takes down Seti. Says, I'll take that height for free. And then the final 1v2, he had them pincered in, you could see them every step of the way, and they just weren't ready for him, Shayo.
Not at all. I love the block off, so there's just no chance. And Putrick and Swizzy did everything in that moment to stay in the game. That, I think, that specific game, day 2's game 2 is the definition of survival. No one wanted to go down.
And after a tragic first game for Kylie and for Strokey, to come back in game number 2 and win in that kind of fashion, that says a lot about their mentality, their resilience, their heart.
Stylish, fantastic, an absolute flourish there from Kylie. I want to see the reactions of everyone across the world, but specifically 3 people who were on the desk.
Guys, thank you very much. Kylie, if you are putting together a new highlight reel, just put the end of that on loop over and over again. What a finish to game 2, Mini.
Yeah, fantastic finish. Just showing why we should really be looking at this duo. Because, of course, Kylie, what a solo clutch that was. Hitting huge damage shots and just blocking off other damage as well right there at the end. Perfectly played stuff. I mean, you don't often see solos going for height like that, but he did it.
Excitement, confidence, domination is what we saw from Kylie in those last moments. But it's also what led up to that is the key to how he ended up securing that victory royale. Looking for height when it was the perfect moment to strike. And just like that, Kylie continued moving forwards. There's the quick high ground retake, taking a quick shot onto Seti, finishing him off, but was the most important was that 1v2 in the end. You should have seen the reactions we had from that clutch. I mean, taking down the leaders of this tournament. Kylie was not showing any nerves.
Mini, supremely confident, but that also requires so much bottle.
It really does. I mean, so many players, when they're in that situation, when you don't have materials, you need to try and find a refresh, they'll look down. They'll look, how can I try and make myself in that sort of low ground section? But he looks up. He looks up at Seti on high ground. He thinks, yes, that's my target. He's a solo, and he takes him out in fine fashion, of course, getting him enough refresh in that endgame. He could have even gone even further. I think he dropped a med miss there as well, so there could have even been a longer heal off for him, but he just got it done early, which is great to see.
Who else is looking up? Let's take a look at the standings. I'm predicting that we might see a little bit of movement here.
Ooh.
And wow. Seti and Cammy jumping up 2 spots. Look, you can see again what it means for Kylie and his duo here to rocket up 14 spots to Carter.
Yeah, really good for Kylie and Fastroki now in qualifying range for the Global Championships. But look at the difference between first and second. 466 points versus 356, over 100 point difference. But this is looking incredibly
Seti qui passe 3ème et Camille en bien joué ça. Faut pas leur voler la 2ème place.
They've done it second game as well, just keeping on playing the way that they know how to play and the way that is working. I don't see anyone stopping them right now because not only is their Storm Surge mid-game so sound, it's also their end game sticking together, hip to hip. We saw it with Swizzy and Shimoki back in the day as well, but now Swizzy and Putrick, they're carrying on that momentum, they're carrying on that end game prowess, and I love to see it.
You can see them actually taking out Cammy and Seti on the high ground. It seems like the roles have been reversed here, seeing Cammy and Seti up above, and Swizzy Putrick kind of with a similar play style to what we'd see from Cammy and Seti with the same amount of consistency. I mean, from game 7 to game 8 to being first place after day 1 grand finals here on EU, this duo is just looking unstoppable.
Do you think we're seeing more teams here after yesterday's play? They think, you know what, the high ground is up for grabs?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot more turnover of that. I think we're seeing teams that are looking up, you know, Seti and Cammy, of course, being one of them. And even Thomas and Malabuka having a really, really solid game right there. Look at that, jumping up 15
We said where were they?
Now they're here.
They're right back. Let's take a look at them in action.
We found him. Here we can see Malabuka. We actually saw him clutching up in the last moment as well, but how did he get there with that legendary Mammoth pistol, taking those shots, hitting the shots needed to find those eliminations, find those refreshes, but also staying along Thomas HD, the dynamic duo continuing strong.
Yeah, Levin talked about it earlier as well. We haven't really seen too much when it comes to fighting from this duo in day one. Now they seem to be getting that confidence back. They seem to be getting a bit more stride in their step. I like it. This is exactly what we like to see from Malabuka. Of course, clutching up right there at the end. Huge elimination points this duo. And it's been a little bit tough for them recently. They haven't been able to make it to these end games. So we haven't been able to see what they can do. They've had a lot of unlucky zone pulls. I know Malabuka's talked about that a lot. And once they do get zone, once they do get a few things going their way, they can pick up those refreshes. They're the results.
Guys, you do realize that this is my first weekend on FNCS, and they've given me so much power. Are you aware of this?
Yeah.
I'm about to do it.
Maybe too much. Maybe too much power.
I'm going to do it.
You gonna do it?
I'm going to do it.
Do it.
It's time for Storm Surge.
He loves it too much, I think.
I think he likes it a little too much.
Yeah, he does.
Gets better every time. Obviously, Storm Surge is a massive part of any Fortnite competitive game. That was the case once again here. Let's take a look at how Thomas HD and Malabuka are dealing with it.
Yeah, I just spoke about them not being able to make as many end games, and that's because of their Storm Surge. They haven't actually been doing that good on the Storm Surge front of things, but this game was very, very different. We saw them in the end game popping off, but of course, let's highlight a little bit earlier on. Their drop spot, of course, right here at the racetrack. It's a very, very difficult spot to get Surge from because, as you can see, there's not too many teams rotating all the way through. It's a very, very sort of open area, and you don't get many teams there.
Right, but luckily enough, they were able to find some quick eliminations off the spawn here by the racetrack, but that's not enough. They had trouble in the last match getting that Storm Surge, so luckily enough, the Rift Island did appear right on top of them, and they decided to quickly get a Rift, land on top of that Rift Island, and play a little bit more aggressive for Storm Surge, and it actually paid off as they ended up getting the loot from the capture point here, and even you can see a good amount of tags.
Yeah, we saw them doing this a lot at the beginning of the season, right the way in week number 1, and it didn't really work out too well for them. They were a little bit inconsistent, but why not? They're at this stage of the tournament right now. Their Storm Surge is not looking too great, so they're fixing it by going up to this Rift Island. You can guarantee that teams are going to be up there, and you can also guarantee that teams are going to be rotating down below, and we see that with Thomas HD with that dangerous Mammoth pistol aim. I mean, I wouldn't want to be rotating.
Yeah, what we see, Scatter, despite being nerfed a good chunk, right, it's still lighting them up, isn't it?
I mean, there's a reason almost every duo has the Mammoth pistol in their inventory, especially in the early mid-game and even the late game. I mean, they've always got it.
It's fun to watch, though, isn't it? I think
Yeah,
it's been a
great.
different dynamic, hasn't it? But as a viewer, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love the island fights. I think Thomas Malabuka thought, right, we need Surge, we need to try and find players. Where are players going to be? It's the Rift Island. They're like bees around honey, and it's great.
Yeah. Do you think that this time round, are we going to see Thomas HD, now they've found their feet, are they going to continue and start to go, hey guys, we're back?
Look, they're going to keep playing aggressive. They got that little light bulb above their head with the Rift Island appearing on top of them, but I know that, they might try and continue that aggression going forward in these next matches, and we know how confident they can be as a duo, so I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to get to endgame.
One thing I'm learning here is that Fortnite moves fast. You are, of course, watching the FNCS EU Major 3 Grand Finals, and it is now time for game number 9. Yeah.
69 points. Okay. Game
Another glorious game on EU. I just have one thing to say, Helevin. Hashtag free the island. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want more island parties, everything out there.
Free it up, man. Do you know what I'm saying? What we really hiding from here? At the end of the day, everybody wants a party. I want a party. I know you want a party.
You like your Falons?
I love it.
I love your Falons. They're lit. They're so much fun.
More parties then.
More parties, yeah. I mean, you saw Thomas Malabuka in that instance. You saw TD and Misha. You can't even hide anywhere on that island. It's just nuts.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Misha and Tini is that, like, at this point, everybody in that general area of the map where they're choosing their spots, they know their gimmicks. But we're familiar with your game now. You can't fool us. Every single door, we're going to be ready and waiting for them to be hiding on the other side. And we see it cost them in that game. And it almost just sort of meant that there was a delay, a lag in their game plan where they were sort of just trying to catch up to where they used to be.
No, absolutely. Towards the very end, there was even more action. Now we start over back at the beginning in game number 9. And the best part about that game was just Kylie's domain expansion. This man knew every single pixel that was moving from high ground to low and just finessed the entire last 4 eliminations. It was so much fun to watch. Tune back in though with business as usual. Honestly, business that's just chaotic now. I've seen this fight too many times. I want Papa Wingle Bevies to switch it up. Get inside that castle. That's exactly what they're going to try to do. I don't He gets to live to see another day. Papa Wingle Bevies might be here to play a game.
Non, c'est quoi,
I see a pickaxe and yeah, does have a
J'ai
weapon.
dit, il veut tellement prendre le mec, il avait pas pris le point. Il a explosé sur toi, dommage.
Weapon's about to be let loose. They actually go off the other side, window towards the right, and then once again, a distraction for Pablo. Ring of fourth on the left. They are here to play their third game.
Eureka!
93,
Finally!
la deuxième, il ne touche pas.
Pablo Ringu and the Bevies finally get to play a game. And for a moment there, I thought Pablo was about to go down. When he ran straight through and Skyby was waiting with a shotgun, I thought it was wraps. But like you say, man, it's their third game they get to play, and hopefully they make it a good one.
Hey, if you're Pablo in that situation, never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
That's what I'm talking about. He didn't.
Continue
with the spray. I don't think this duo should either. Thomas Malabuka.
Sa deuxième bague, il gagne le spawn.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes from them. One game. Mini and Tars are talking about the sort of plan for Surge and how they are approaching things now. And of course, a bit of extra damage will certainly help.
Let's go!
I thought people would be familiar by now, but now it is getting caught out. Lion and Moneymaker caught asleep.
Lion, why you
Oh wesh, wow, comment il a tombé wesh. C'est une malade wesh.
I know by now. You've got
T'as deux mecs qui surgissent.
Textbook 101. Merry Christmas, by the way, for them. Gonna be looking good with all that loot. Some nice presents, Flixie. Group A. I'm always just seeing panic and shit.
En 1v2
Flixie and Group A in a good spot with some control. Now 1v2. It's gonna be Kiri
Il va
and
partir.
User. And they're gonna be patient here.
Kiri, ça va partir.
No control, no power from up top, so no chance for him to continue the fight. Siding on the one wall that has no cone on it. I like that from User. They're gonna keep it moving.
Yeah, Flixie and Grippe not having the best of tournaments, and they are a team we will be watching at the Globals. They have qualified already, so we want to start to see them showing off what they can do come time for Global Championships. Kirito and User.
Il avait 30 HP, dommage.
A nice pair of limits there.
Noticing an update too, I mean, we're seeing some crazy clutches from the likes of Kylie. We're watching nice aggression and surprise. You know, door openings from Misha and Tini. But every single game, they're in that engine. They're in second, third place. 100-point lead is even greatening.
Yeah, sure, you know, it hurts to lose a 2v1 for the potential victory royale, but at the end of the day, they still get second place.
Premier s'il faut une bonne game à déjà, ils ont 110 points les points d'avance. Une bonne game, ça va être chaud après de les rattraper. Quand on pense sur la game avec des kills, ça va être chaud de les rattraper.
Because these guys are not letting up at all, it seems.
Yeah, they're not at a grand ball. This isn't a high-function dinner. There's no butlers with, you know, silver cutlery giving these guys the entire game on a plate. That last game, they had a crazy rotation that Swizzy was actually maneuvering through, and then eventually go for a hype take, then get knocked off a fight, then still secure second place. They're really fighting for all these games. You might be saying, you know, maybe they'll just have one bad game. They're moving through bad circumstances, moment after moment, day after day, which is huge. Nathan Jakey's want to do that too. I see 2 eliminations on the board for them. How did that happen?
It's a blur fire.
Ouf, bien joué. Oh, il l'a arraché. Oh, bien joué.
Exit piece there from Nathan to connect onto Blurfire.
Misha, no doors needed now. They're on the aggression.
Ah, je sais pas s'il y a quelqu'un qui nous le mec au long.
They've taken down T9 and Moneymaker, and they're not stopping here, it seems. A bit more of a difficult and awkward fight for them, but one that they're making work. Mappy and Hydra. It looks like they're going to be on the receiving end of Tini's wrath. Brute forcing his way into the box. Those are the kind of plays only controller players can make. But he will take advantage every single time.
It's crazy, man. I feel like they probably have like 400 HP. As they're moving in, getting hit for 160. Still don't care. Still keep shooting. They just know their shots are going to hit. That confidence is what you need to play in that fashion. Also, Slove, that last game, very good on Surge, about 400 above when we tuned in. Didn't have to go for finicky box fights right now. Close range. It's strapped on an Os next to them, box to box. They have a split in terms of attacking this fight. But overall, I feel like I've seen them get a lot of their surge from long range, so this might
Celui
be
Patrick est en
slightly
train
new
de
at
s'envoler
least
là.
this day 2 of the tournament. It's nice to see Snazy and Podosai also inside that top 5. We're talking about consistency. It looks like they're finding their
Plus on
group to
vient
stay
de
in these
partir celui
games
Patrick.
each and every single round. This fight, though, is starting to get close and personal. Slove, a little bit more of an investment. Owning the roof and the floor. But this fight is just a bit too split apart now. Has an angle on the backside, Slove. Not going to be able to see Strapped. Body for body. He's going to get down low in here now. Asa completely by himself. Could get jumped on by Strapped and Anas any second. Big shot, though. So now Slove can really start to get crazy with it. Move up close when it's once.
Ooh, punished there by
Aïe,
Anas.
peut-être
He doesn't let anything slip
Aïe,
past
aïe.
him.
Anas qui a just levé.
And that really does change the tide of the fight.
Je
He
l'ai
went
pas
from
vu
being
du
the
monde,
ones
il
that
s'est fait
were
grave
getting
de
pressure
je
to
l'ai
now
pas vu
being
le
the ones
monde
that
d'appuyer
really
sur le
control the
côté.
tempo.
Aïe aïe.
Looks like they'll be able to
Anas
get a
qui va
finish
se
as
faire
well.
sur le club.
Exactly what Slove is. So Asa's just gonna dip. Doesn't want the smoke with these two.
Gotta stick to the game plan, I feel like, for these guys. I know
Non, c'est pas
they have the
comment ça
flapjack
s'appelle
too,
déjà
so maybe
cet
that's why they feel
ex-soleil?
confident in taking
Comment il
these closer
s'appelle?
box fights, but they were looking so good in that last game when they just stayed really far away, had a big base, and just had pot shots on people. That being said, though, you know, the zone could be in different places. Might
Ça.
be difficult. This is how it all started. A free shot only for 30 damage. You gotta be mad
Ça
about that one.
qui craque.
When you get freebies, you want them to be like max damage.
Yeah.
Take the play out the fight completely. So when they're not, it
Ah
can
bah,
get a bit
il a
awkward.
tiré avant, il a posé son sol.
So Savage.
Savage, aïe. Savage qui a tombé. Il est mort Savage, faut que tu gères Savage. Waouh!
Okay.
83 de Savage. Waouh! Waouh!
Savage, I was literally about to say Savage is about to lose this fight. Like, it was looking raps, but
You didn't say it.
I'm glad I didn't. I
Yeah?
would have looked like a hater.
No hating here.
Now I can just lie and say I always backed him to win.
100% since day one, bro.
Yeah, since day
Carrément pas
one.
mal
We woke
vraiment.
up in the merch.
L'exotique, il est fort.
Told you like you know? That's what it's all about.
So it's all about. Trulix want to use a little bit of that smartness. Saw them done a bit earlier, I believe, in that last game. Nice. That's a freebie. That's how you do freebies.
Yes.
Now you leave.
I feel pain in my heart every time I see someone lining up the perfect mammoth shot from behind. You know, they hold it for like a whole minute, just lined up, and then they miss. It's the most painful thing to me, like, in the world. So anytime you get to see it and the person hits the shot, I'm just happy. It makes me feel good.
If someone's aiming in for that long, my ears deserve the shield crack sound effect.
Right?
If they don't get the shield crack sound effect, I am sad.
100%, man. I'm with you on that. Another cash for Thomas HD and Malabuko. Things are looking good. That loot will go a long way. The slurps will allow them to play a bit more free.
Put aside by himself? Nah, just for now. Controlling some space near the Citadel. Look at that lead,
On change un peu
110
parce
points
qu'on
for
fait
Swissy
le
and
premier, on
Futric.
voit après le reste.
Leaderboard update on the top right.
Vous savez que je voudrais faire des trackers à
Catch up
côté,
in this,
parce que
it's
j'arrive
gonna
au
be
classement.
difficult. One more game, or maybe even a VR.
Je vois le dernier sur le combien de points.
Might be calls for Raps
Je vois que
because
c'est qui.
they have just once again gone through so much adversity and just overcome it in the worst possible zones. I don't know what can stop that duo now.
Event,
There's Pink, Vico,
Pink Fight.
south side of the zone near Frenzy. Patient fights, patient fights.
Yeah, this is one of those tough runs, right? When you're fighting for a cache and you're sort of trying to claim the space around it. You know, you're trying to obviously replace walls, replace stairs, cover as much ground as possible. In this case, it's probably going to be Vico that has to do a lot of that work. Pink actually getting a cone in, that's not bad. UK ping working out for him. Typically, it's the Germans you want to really see there. Trying to claim all the walls. That's why Vico's going around all these different
Il est bon, il est
sides.
bien qu'il est.
But still, Kylie and Verstrokey, they're the ones making it
Ouais,
happen. Two Germans better than one, I guess. Well, obviously, German ping, I guess. No. They're not all German. Vico's Austrian, right? I think Kylie's like Turkish, maybe, or something. I don't know. They're from
Semantics.
somewhere. They're from
Yeah.
somewhere, you know.
They're living, they have internet connections,
Ah,
and
mais
some
c'est
are
pas
better than
additionner des
others.
points.
That's how it goes.
Yeah,
That's how it goes.
it be like that sometimes. Still side by side. Everyone's just kind of reeling from what's just happened. We'll tune in with Roban and tune out with the person that he was fighting. Chicho down again. I mean, Levin, this is the team that got to see that first place at one point on day one. Now trouble again in Paradise on day 2.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Like, Chicho is the difference maker in this duo. When Chicho's activated, when he's alive, they are a duo that literally can make anything happen. Trulex, being the IGL, being the leader, his job is to get Chicho to that position. With Chicho down, it leaves a lot of pressure on him to make something happen. Rob and Axels aren't going to pursue and hunt down Trulex. They'll be satisfied with what they got out of it, and rightfully so. Look at the loot, look at the materials. They don't really need to be hungry for more.
Gotta look at exactly how that happened though, because Chicho's not one to fall privy to fights fast. It might just be, another lineup, and I like that team spray. 3 shots per player. Take out all the HP. Not even a chance for Chicho to fight back. That's just tough.
Very unfortunate. But it happens. Always gonna get awareness checks in this kind of lobby.
Kiri and User. Off a win, spirits are high, but points need to be gained. Right now the objective is just get a little bit of surge. Had an interview with Kiri before any of the games started at all on EU, and you know, standard stuff he was saying. Got to make sure we stick to game plans. If things don't roll right on day 1, we VOD review for day 2. I think the biggest difference for them in expectations is that everyone had them on their leaderboard, on their list. There's so many other duos inside Europe as well. I have a map. I'm not trying to read it. Taco, though, very proficient in maps, actually, in mapology. Taco, what do we got right now in EU?
Well, right now, it's Swizzy and Putrid. We already saw that they have a 110-point lead currently in first place on those leaderboards, and part of that is just heavily credited to the loot that they're actually managing to take with them into the end game. Securing the vault over at the Eastern Watch is a great way for them to set up a nice little sky base, and they even take some of the heals from the vault and choose to leave them inside their base so that while they're acquiring some of their surge tag damage off of their mammoth pistols, just in case they eat any shots in return, which we can clearly see them having to be concerned about in terms of that peaking strategy for the height takes. But right now, it's all about just this team keeping it cool, calm, and collected and staying on pace.
All right. That's a map. That's a route. That's some good loot. Now we know why first is in first, and they bring the hurt. We should see though. Don't need updates on them. We know exactly what they do. Lock down doors and sit in cones, waiting to see what happens next. This looks like an abandoned base. Just chilling. Absolute vibes here. Waiting for anyone to pass by. Meanwhile, across the map, Trulex by himself, still trying to get Chicho back in the game. Reboot that frenzy a possibility, but there's so many teams around. Man might just get beamed down.
Yeah, getting Chicho back up in this game is looking harder and harder as the seconds pass. He's eyeing up the reboot, but he does see Pink there, dancing around it, which is making him a bit more cautious about just running in willy-nilly.
Are you a no man left behind individual 11? Me and you are in the EU FNCS. Are you playing the solo game or getting me back in all costs?
I'll be real, my brother. I'm out of there, bro. I'm gone. Like, you can watch me. Like, you can watch and enjoy the view, bro, but I'm gone. Especially in this kind of lobby. Reboot? It's not happening.
It's true. It's tough.
Which is why I respect when teams are able to pull off reboots. It's such a difficult thing to do.
That's good timing for Trulex. Everyone's kind of just passed by. Pink might turn around if he hears it. It's a little bit of...
He's building up, I think, to try and get like some view of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both trying to get up. Yeah, they're ramping up as well. They're ramping up. They're already waiting for it to happen.
Oh, man.
Ooh. Did he survive? No. Yeah, Vico. Yeah, I was about to say, like, Vico got him. And now they'll just look to 2v1 Trulex, if possible. Trulex is sort of wrapping around. I don't think they know exactly where he is.
Ça va être
Yeah, they think he's
beaucoup
behind there. No, he's not there. He's lining up a different shot on them.
Not going down without a fight. Trulex still trying in this one. Ooh, big shots too. Gotta back Vico up. Pank has to take the forefront of this fight, but now Vico will just wrap up again. Might lose his shield. He'll never lose a fight though.
And that's a nice coup for Vico and Pink. That's the kind of thing they desperately needed. Problems with Surge yesterday meant that they haven't performed quite as people would have been expecting. Swizzy though, he's performing up to par, and he's trying to keep showing us that here in this fight. Putrick putting in the heavy damage though, and that's slowing Asa. Like, get moved out of the way. When Swizzy and Putrick come knocking, man, you really just got to run at this point. They are on an absolute tear this weekend.
So consistent, some of the best loot, really good games. Might take a team like Teeny. It just might, but it looks like some of these teams are about 100 points behind. The way they're playing, they still need some form of miracle to play so good to catch up like that. Still good on Surge. Teeny Misha at least have freedom in this game to do whatever they want to do. Right now, they're just waiting out the time for Zone to actually come to them. A little bit of a late rotate turning into Paradise in the half and half. Never seen the Zone cascade into a duo to this effect, where like in the most perfect spot way in the zone, you know?
Sometimes things just go your way, you know? You just have that weekend, things go your way.
Yeah. Okay. You were right in saying that Malibuka definitely just found his flow and he's online on day 2.
Definitely, that's what we've needed, man. Individually, both of these players are just top notch, right? At any given moment, they can put on the kind of performance that makes you think, is this the best player in the world I'm watching right now? And a lot of the time, you'd be correct in saying, yes, it hasn't quite been that way this weekend, but finally, Malibuka with a big showing.
Abominable Axe Force. Very different from some of the games that they have total dominance and control, but I think it's just zone-based for these guys. It's not in their favor, they're just playing catch-up a lot of the time. Still, game's not over for Robon here. He can try to make it in and see what he can do from this point. Some heals still available. One box fight he could try to force or dive in.
Yeah, very zone-based, you'd be right to say that.
Yeah.
Even last game after the winning, right? Kylie, his first tweet was, just give me the zones! Give me some more zones and I'll keep on performing.
Really rocking for minis. I'm wondering exactly who else is in this position. Blaha not going to be able to make it through this zone, actually going down on his own while trying to get in. No one else even affected in that fight. Thomas HD Malibuka. I mean, I thought we looked hunky-dory watching Malibuka get a few elims here and there. But it's not positional problems today. I feel like it's more so Surge.
Yeah, struggling to get enough damage. And it's not something that you would typically associate with this duo. You want to see this duo way up there in damage stats. And so being this far down at this stage in the game, they just need to make an all or nothing play. We've seen some of the great players in EU make these kind of plays in grand finals. I remember a couple seasons ago, Tayson doing it in their Major 1 win. And it looks like Thomas is going to have to do it now here, yeah. Landing on this team, understanding there is no time to waste. You have to jump in. And these are the kind of plays that newer players are scared to make, but these guys understand. There's no sitting around trying to get tags. We're way past that point now. We just have to get in box and deal the big damage. Full 50-50, but one that works in their favor.
Medium damage in total too, because it just puts him about 55 above. Malibuka has to climb through on top of the box, get a few more shots off, finally get towards that 200. Now they're looking fine for the moment. While this all happens and everyone else struggles, Swizzy, Putrick, letting it just rip. Just listen. Listen. It's still happening. Like, That's a different game for them, a different world.
I tell you, man, every time, the flapjack is just the most intimidating weapon we've had in a long time. The sound of that just firing at you relentlessly is surely something.
Oh, they have the best pull for zone as well, so in terms of mats, I mean, wrap it up, this might just be it.
I told you, man, we're getting to that point in the competition. If this translates into another high point game for this duo, we do have to start looking at, is it just a matter of the race for second place?
Might just be it. I mean, already 110 points ahead, already a few eliminations in this game. The people who are next to that top 5, top 10 are looking way up. Their next crane, the front row in a movie theater. And the show that's playing is just Putrick and Swizzy versus EU right now. It's a long one. It's got 3 more games of runtime, but they're the main characters for the moment, and they're not giving up the role.
Yeah, but some of the co-stars of this lobby, Thomas and Malabuka, in a really nice spot on height. I saw Mustache and Hayden Bush looking like they were in a very good spot lower down, one that they're much more comfortable playing, so maybe we'll start to see some of those guys make more of an appearance here. Mixon,
wow,
very much struggling to deal with that, and understandably so. In a matter of a flash, losing so much damage. Swizzy and Puchigo will continue their pursuit, but all the way down is a very risky spot to be in, Shayo.
Yeah, look at the effort. Once again, this is not free. I'm not sure how much I can stress that. But these guys are moving to ridiculous portions of the map to get their consistent placements. Barrier before them, another duo as well on that side, and they're gonna have to pull up here in Creaky. This next zone that actually is safe has a complete ravine in the middle, a nice river that's so hard for people on low ground to actually base in. Pasoki, Kylie, they just needed another zone. That's exactly what Kylie's asking for. They might just have it now. Pablo Wengu in this game though, so that's the big difference maker inside the end game. You might just have chaos on high ground. F-Squad once again not going to be able to see another one. It's Pasoki and Kylie who are trying to hold on to that lair. Swizzy, Putrick in a similar one, but they're not really fighting for height. They just want to get by.
Yeah, and it's Pablo and Bevy's on their lair. They need to be careful. Going for a refresh up above. He needs to be careful about who's behind him, but he doesn't care. He just wants to get in box and get the limbs.
It's perfect timing. I mean, low on surge. They have to try to do something to get that damage ahead. Kylie goes down. No more clutch today.
And now it's back for Swizzy and Putrick to stay in this game. The mats are dwindling though, and so it is a matter of just running and using these natural parts of the map to stay clear. Thomas and Malabuka no longer up on height, but still making things happen in the back of the zone.
The speed doesn't stop. The bus has to keep moving. We're going north, and everyone's got to just elevate and move. Malabuka, Thomas, in their brain together, are looking so good side by side.
Clean sweep, and all that loot as well will just help them to keep making these kind of plays.
Sharing the same brain, going straight on the other side of the zone. Nathan in front of the Malabuka with another hit as Cammy moves through the low ground.
Cammy and Seti in their element, claiming space, looking for weak players in the back. And Malabuka and Thomas fall into that category, but it's Trip that's trying to take the fight to them. Malabuka is ready to more solo action for Malabuka, and he's putting on an absolute show.
Slips and zones galore. He can keep this moving. Up top though, Pablo Wengu, Bevy's turning their basically third game in EU into a big one with height control. Swizzy moving through it. Putrick finally down. They make another top 10. The placement just keeps rolling in.
And with no materials, desperation kicking in, fighting through builds that are not his. He is just rolling that dice until it rolls a 6, and he's looking, he's searching. He'll find it. There's still players around him though that he has to be careful of, but Swizzy's managing to find a way here.
More mats, all good, boxing is boxing. He sees the aggression, absolutely just turns the other side, turns tide and keeps moving. He's back, and his shots are hitting. It's enough to make a difference. He clinches 7th place.
And Vox now has to do it alone because DKS has fallen in all that chaos. He doesn't have the materials though.
Down in the swamp, Vox, nothing, and he's almost pseudo-drowning. Misha in front of him, dodge shot again, Teeny up top, he's left alone for his lonesome. Misha's a big shot, and Bevy's takes him down. Bevy's fighting 6 wars on 2 fronts. He gets so many elims, 11 for the duo, and they're not stopping. Down to Fox, last elimination, 2v1. It's just too good. Bevy's is looking fine. Pablo with the pressure, he goes around on the right side, big shot, but it's just a scratch on his back as he climbs to the top in game number 9.
These guys are ridiculous. They've only had 3 games they've gotten to play, Shayo. But in the 3 games they've had, they have averaged more points than anybody else within a 3-game period. They are an absolutely unstoppable team when given the chance to play. But we just haven't seen it enough because of the off-spawn situation. Still though, marvel in the glory of this game. a game where they didn't really look like the biggest competitors to win until the very end.
It's nuts. Grasp on EU is theirs if they're able to make it past that fight. This is just ridiculous. Every single duo, track, shots, never miss a 2v1, both to be broken down towards the end.
I'm telling you, everybody in this lobby should be very thankful that Skylus and Shakos are contesting them. Because if Pablo Ringu and Bevies were uncontested, they would have won FNCS with ease. It just would have been over for everybody else. Because these 3 games we've got to watch them play. Game 1 and Game 2 on day 1, and here now game number 9. Unbelievable Fortnite.
Different type of dominance, built different is basically, I think, their definition for this entire FNCS, but I believe there's so many more specifics to break down. We reacted to it. I want to see some more from Ian and the guys on desk.
Chai 11, you're right, there's still so much to get tucked into here, but we are halfway through day 2 of the grand finals. Pablo and Bevies popping off big time.
Finally, when they make it off spawn, this is what happens, of course. As Levin mentioned, these guys are contesting each other, contesting Skylus and Shakos off spawn. So when they do finally make it off spawn, they show what they can do. And this is a duo that a lot of people would have had their eyes on going into this. If they can win off spawn, this is the result.
Yeah, I mean, 3-6 off spawn, but those 3 matches, they are impactful matches. Finishing the 3rd one with the victory VR, and not only a regular victory royale, but a high elimination victory royale. Pablo and his duo partner Bevies, they are dominating.
If you are going to, if you're going to get to a position where you're finishing Victory Royale at this stage of the tournament and you're getting those eliminations on the board, what more could you want?
I mean, they just need to be a bit more consistent off spawn. If they can try and find out those strategies off spawn, then if we can expect games like this to make it there, that is what we want. I mean, what I love about that duo right there is they actually took height at the perfect time. They took height in a zone where there was so much elevation change that if you were down on low ground, we saw it with so many teams, DKS and Vox, of course, having to battle it out on the low ground. They didn't have to do that. They just rode out the game on top.
I got a feeling you guys want to see the standings right now.
Yes, please.
That's the vibe. Yeah, all right. Let's take a look at the standings because we're getting to crunch time now, let's be honest, with 3 games remaining. Swizzy and Putrick still sitting pretty. Such a nice little gap in there for them as well, between them and 2nd place, of course, but movement once again. Bevies with a huge 15 jump.
15 placement jump into the top 10, but still the leaders, the GOATs of this EU Grand Finals, Swizzy and Putrick. 539 points. We broke down their early game strategy, but it's more than just that. You can see how dominant they are in the later half of these matches, making use of those mythic weapons, of the mythic slurp juices, and their play style to just consistently get high placements in the late game and maintain that #1 spot.
That's exactly what we like to see from this duo. They are playing so well at the moment. And even at the beginning of the show, remember when I said get a dictionary and look up the word consistency? I read it wrong. I read it wrong. It was Swizzy and Putrick, not Cammy and State, because they are just doing that right now. And that's exactly what we like to see. I don't think they're going to let up either. Their strategy is perfect, whether it's a close zone, whether it's a far zone. They have all of those questions answered. No matter what you throw at them, they've got the answers.
Well, one thing that you threw at the very start of this entire experience was the word consistency, and you just can't overemphasize how vital that is.
You really can't. But I mean, you said it yourself. There was also the Camiseti consistency, but in the recent 2 matches, Thomas HD and Malabuka, from taking Island Aggression, and not this match, but the previous one, to once again, you can see here, 5 eliminations for the duo before they even started the moving zones, and continuing that momentum. And this has been crucial to launch themselves back up the leaderboard.
I think these guys have just remembered that they're one of the top teams in Europe. They're like, yeah, you know what, actually, let's just W key everyone. Let's just try and go for those eliminations. Let's try and go for that Rift Iron like we saw in the last game. And let's just try and be a little bit more aggressive. All of their issues so far have been those Storm Surge sort of situations for them and going down at those sort of moving zones. But they seem to be solving all of those issues with these eliminations right now. This is the sort of Malabuka and Thomas that we want to see. And hopefully they can continue that in these last 3 games.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Listen, we need to bring on a halftime show interviewee, and it is one of your favorite in the community. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Reese.
Hello.
Reese, how you doing, brother? You all right?
I am fantastic. All the better for seeing you 3. I mean, not many, of course, but like the rest of you.
Reese, you're joining us at a pivotal time, and I know that you've been, I'm following you on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, and I'm seeing you keep a close eye on everything that's going down. What are your immediate thoughts going into the latter stages now?
I mean, I'm impressed in all honesty because, you know, you look at the names who are at the top and you're not necessarily thinking these are the people who were predicted to win, like Putrick and Swizzy. Like, who had them at the top of your list? And if you say you didn't. Like, I know you're lying. I heard Levin say it already. So for them, like, they've just put in such a solid strategy, such good practice, and it's clearly paying off for them as well.
Yeah, great to see you too, Reese. How you doing? Hope you're well.
I'm great.
I think we've seen so much change, so much unexpected stuff happen. What's been the one moment for you that's been like, wow, I was not expecting this at all?
I mean, I would just say, if you're saying one moment, I would just say straight up, just like Tina and Misha's entire existence in this lobby, you know? I think, like, their entire game plan is something that you would only see in this chapter, right? It's like, they go from mid-game objective, like, trying to rat around on some, like, other team, to their combat cache, to another mid-game objective, to then to the loot island, to the other mid-game objective. Like, if they don't get one, they go to the next, then they go to the next. So I think that's, like, definitely been the standout moment as something that would literally only happen in, like, chapter 4.
I love it. Now, Reese, you told us a bit of the unexpected. I know that on Twitter you like getting key moment breakdowns of what happened during the matches, but if you had to make a prediction to what is going to happen in Game 10, what do you think it's going to be?
I mean, I think we're going to see, again, consistency from Swizzy Putrick. I think we're going to see guys like Cammy and Seti play for height, play more aggressive, go for win, because realistically, like, him and those two, alongside, like, Thomas HD and Malabuka, are the guys who are now, like, ramping up on day 2, right? They're so far down the leaderboard for where they want to be, which is first place, that they've upped the aggression in terms of making a little bit riskier plays, going for Loot Island, going for high. So I predict that we're going to see the exact same thing from those two kind of teams, and then Swizzy and Putrick just keep that consistency throughout.
Reese, everybody who likes Fortnite already follows you and knows where you are, but just in case they don't, where can we find you?
Resub on all socials, in particular YouTube. Like, come on, that's the good one.
All right, Reese, just for the record, it's never nice for me to see Mini Mania either. So thank you so much for joining us and enjoy the rest of the show, all right?
Thanks for having me. Cheers, love you, bye.
It's always nice to get that extra analysis from big brains who love this game. I don't know when he's sleeping because I know he's keeping tabs on NA and everything else in between, and it's nice insight, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he makes a great point, of course, about Misha and Misha. I'm doing it. Reese has got it in me now. Teeny and Misha. This resub guy. No, but it is. It's great to see them sort of landing around it. But they're like dropping around in different locations and just intercepting teams' loot paths, which is what's getting them above the surge. Is what they're getting all their mats from. They're just letting all the other teams do all the hard work.
I mean, literally every game, basically, they've switched up their drop spot. We see them just, you know, sitting on a chair inside of a house, waiting patiently for their opponents to walk in, and they're getting it done.
I can't really believe this, but it is time for our next game. We are flying through this Grand Finals weekend. Levin and Shia are waiting in the wings to guide you through game number 10. Let's have it.
Game number 10. I mean, if it's anything like the last 3, I am gone. It is done for me. I mean, this is just nuts, Levin. Every single game, a brand new thing. The most consistent. Yeah,
you can't call it. I think the thing I look forward to now as these games start to wrap up is, can we see more from Pablo and Bevis? Can they win off spawn? Because we know if they do win off spawn, we are going to get a shot.
Absolutely. So everyone else in the EU is just praying that Shaco Skydune hold these guys in, lock them down, because if not, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, very, very big trouble if these guys get a chance to play out the game. Of course, as well, seeing Misha and Teeny roaming all around the map to all those different objectives is certainly a bunch of fun as well. So let's just hop right back into it, right? Who wants to wait? Not me. I want to jump right back in. And as we jump in, I think what we'll see first, of course, as we do every game, is that battle at the secluded spire. Who's got the better drops to scale?
Going to the spire. It looks like Pablo Wingo's slightly a little bit higher than both players on the sides. No spawns up top. Down below, just a bandage. This is where it gets interesting.
Oh, no spawns.
Unfortunate.
Chest.
There we go. SMG. Going straight through and down. Bevis, low HP, but I think he just has that nice little 1v2 situation. Nope, it's just a 1-for-1 afterwards. Spraying the box, 13 HP. Shakos has to go down. This was like it's Pablo Wingo's. Should be good. Not really chasing just yet. Yeah.
Speak too soon, Shayo.
Shakos nothing left in the tank in terms of mats. The maneuverability is good though. Pablo making sure what's up. I was about to say that's on his wall. It's over.
Wow, uite mi-a năștopă. Așa-i polski.
Okay, it's almost up to full, but that looked too close.
That looked very close, Shayo. But that's good news for me. And for you, I love the people watching because we get another game of Pablo Wingo and Bevis trying to push themselves, push the boundaries of what can be done in the FNCS. They are somehow, after only getting a chance to play 3 games, in the top 10.
That I don't think is heard of, right? In general, like in this caliber type of lobby, I don't remember the last time any team was like that. Papa Wingu though, it's not for free. We saw this once. So this once yesterday. It was actually Shankos that fell to it. The latent sky jump invasion, and Pablo's not gonna be inside this game. Akira, sky jump, run it back.
I know I said I wanted someone in the lobby to not let this happen, but I didn't think someone was gonna actually take me up on that. Akira and sky jump. The console legends come in and just say, nah, Paluingo and Bevies, enough. We can't allow you to do this no more. That is heartbreaking for Pablo and Bevies because there's not many opportunities they get to actually play out a game from Secluded Spire. They don't win that off-ball battle often. And now the one time they have, all down the drain, back to the lobby for both the Secluded teams.
2 different filters they have to pass, and then they have to really try to play that end game. There's Rift Island situations that end up happening as well. For all people included. I mean, the variables over at Spire make it seem like it's not even worth it for both teams to land. But if you try to give it up completely, then one team has such an advantage and ends up having a big leg up inside the FNCS. And sometimes that vault doesn't even end up spawning in. The NPC not available. So many different variables still. A top 10 for an insane team in termes of
Regarde, même game joué, ils sont jamais retapés là. Comme de par hasard, là, ils voient qu'ils sont solo, ils perdent de spawn. Ils sont pas 2, bon,
out the back door in EU. Everyone electing for these classy box fights. Kiri, comms active, shots. Being taken at the right times, but not really being hit back and forth by either team. Pressure now as these two play defense, but one edit will make all the difference. They're looking for shots again. Not many builds on Kiri's side, so he's looking to get aggressive and turn the tides of this fight soon.
It's a tough one, right? Because he doesn't really have many builds to play around with, so it's going to have to be putting that shotgun to use soon. And I think he knows that. That's why he's going for these different shots where he can.
Using that bush, but I'm pretty sure Group A Flixie heard that movement inside the leaves. Shooting builds again. Ammo traded for materials, and they have so much to use of it. In terms of a war of attrition, these guys have already won a long time ago. Robot up against Archie. Pretty sure we're going to be seeing a replay of that at some point, but they get hunted down again. And those games that Robot actually picks them up, he does a little bit better on Surge overall, and they get to move on with their game super fast. I think that before the first zone even starts to fully close in is huge for them. Mass looking good. Savage was also a part of some of the things that were happening earlier in the game. Him and Vidil having a little bit of a rocky start to day number 2. Second time's the chart on the edit, and then after that, 4th shot confirms the elimination. Good job for him as this fight totally breaks down. I can't believe what I'm seeing. There's just no way. You have mad advantage by the thousands in terms of multiplication, and you still get absolutely bombarded by Kiri and Yuzu.
I'm telling you, they are not to be messed with. Kiri and Yuzu in a losing situation there and somehow managed to win. That is what great teams can do, and these guys are certainly on the pathway to being considered a great team.
Paper beating scissors is not something you see too often, but it's so much fun to watch.
Ouais, ça change pas toujours ce petit, j'attends un mec à chaque fois toujours comme ça.
I'm not sure what type of material they are.
Non, mais dis pas nous quand je fais comme ça, je vais rigoler là.
I'm a fan. First duel with different drops in more than half their games in Grand Finals history.
There's something.
Ah, ok, on a pu dans le match
a
avec
good
game.
reason.
It's working.
Yeah.
Strat's working. And again, like Resub was saying in that interview, this is the only chapter where it's been fully viable as a strat because of the objectives, right? Like, not having a set POI, it seems almost ludicrous from just a Fortnite perspective. Anyone that's played Fortnite in any chapter, any season, you think, you gotta have a drop spot. That's the whole point of the game. What do you mean? You know, that's where we dropping, boys. Like, that's the meme, you know? Like, that, you know, that's the game. But ultimately, these guys have sort of circumvented that by going, hold on a minute, we have all these different objectives throughout the game that just give you easy loot, and not just easy loot, some of the best loot, and it is working. I do remember though, they're not the first team to fully do it, because I remember Art Skill and Teacher did it last chapter, but I guess they didn't do it for all their games according to that stat at least, so that's interesting. But I do remember a team trying it, just obviously not doing as well as how Misha and Tini are doing.
Even if there was another team doing it completely, even more frequently than them, you're right in the fact that in terms of viability this season, it is absolutely, totally feasible for this strat to work. Based completely on objectives, as you said. Deoxcade, I think.
Again, you know, it makes me start to get really excited for global championships, just because one thing we often see with some of the sort of teams from different regions, right? EU and NA are sort of those big name teams that will try to dominate the lobby and really, you know, claim their spots and claim their positions, and people often respect that. And if you are maybe a team from, you know, Brazil or OCE or Asia or Middle East, sometimes it can be intimidating maybe to contest a Tayson or Offspawn, right? That kind of team. But if you know you can play in this way where you're just hopping objective to objective, now all of a sudden, all that it depends on is your skill level, your talent level, which a lot of the time will be more on par, especially in an in-person LAN environment. So, look, Misha and Tini might inspire some big plays that we eventually see at the Global Championships, and that in itself is super, super exciting.
Trendsetters. And hopefully objectives stay all the way till that point.
Oh les pauvres, ils ont pris.
It is viable.
Just get taken out for globals now that I've said that.
Oh les pauvres, t'as donné
That's one of the
martage.
most interesting things, right? Is that there's so many people that are qualified like through different metas entirely. When it comes to globals, what does that look like? How is that even determined? It'd be so much fun to see.
I think we've seen the effects of that this season with some of the teams who people expected to do well and haven't.
Yeah.
Where like a meta can just completely knock the wind out of a great team. So yeah.
That was the thought. It's nice to watch.
Big food for thought, man.
Is it because you can clearly see the, you know, the ramifications of trying to fight for a drop spot being so talented just within this season with what's going on at the Spire, right? If that's what happens at Globals, at two teams really want it bad and don't even want to split it.
Bien joué, Crack.
The best man sometimes won't even win. Third party will come in.
Allez, Tyson. Fais-nous créer les 5 fois meilleurs joueurs. 170. Non, dommage.
Not even the
No.
Big Pump Classic is enough to bail him out this time.
Yeah, we've seen Hyde on Bush in those kind of situations win out at times. That is just part of what makes him so great. But in this case, him and Mustache weren't ready.
Regarde les bâtards, comment ça sneak, les bâtards, c'est trop.
The sneaky plays, man, they're the ones that get ya. And so Mustache completely taken out of the fight, and then
Dommage.
a 1v2 not going to work out. Almost,
Il a
though.
tout
He had a
passé.
big shot there at the end, Hyde on Bush,
Ah,
but
dommage pour Tyson.
too much to handle.
En ce moment, il a tout
Quick
passé,
pass,
mais
190 is bigger
l'escalier, le
than
mur.
164, so Diox wins. Hellfire Nebs, for me, I think, just personally, I expected so much more,
Same.
right? Like, you're looking at, I think it was Qual 2 and 3, the way they controlled the lobby, even in game 1 of day 1, going downwards from Creaky. It might just be, you know, the mud and being able to escape the craziness and unpredictability of these north side zones. Well, when it's a summer zone on the south side, I feel like these guys do so much better, and we just have not seen enough of that inside this EU finals.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're definitely one of the teams that fell victim to, as this lobby increased in difficulty with surge and timing of rotations, they sort of got lost in that. And it sort of doesn't allow them, right? If you put them in a position where they are 5-5-5, good materials, good surge, then they're gonna cook, right? But they're struggling to get to that point in end games.
Hey, put me in a situation with 5-5-5 materials, good surge, in a good position. I'll cook too, man.
You're not cooking, no.
I'm cooking, bro.
You ain't cooking.
There's no way.
Nada.
He hasn't been around before the Blackheart Cup, you know? Before we had events that you can't track.
Brothers
So I
talking
can
about
do what I want.
tournaments from back when people didn't even use cones, bruv.
I'm just saying.
Talking about the ancient times or something. You're talking about back when Vivid was
N'est-ce pas
playing
écrit dans le
cones.
chat?
Come on, man. Let's get serious here, man.
I was even taking an L in this one. Because I'm in the region.
I love Vivid. He knows I love him. That's fine. Look, if you want to watch Vivid, do his thing. NA will be after this. Day 1 of NA was super exciting. Canada and Ages were going crazy. A lot of fun on that region, so be sure to hang out after EU's done to watch that.
Can't wait for all these players to be able to play together. That'll be the funnest of times right now. They still have to get by this situation, which is just the difficulty of EU Grand Finals. No matter what zone it is, there's always something brand new. And we've been seeing, especially towards the end game, how much people really just want to stick around, stay in and do their thing. Thermal Fish for SETI. Not seeing much on it just yet. But these guys will take their time getting to the next zone. They have that rift to use too. We keep tracking through the blue. Tini and Misha waiting for something. Maybe it's a Nos waiting for them this time. They're really trying to force this fight. Okay, side by side. I just love it how every single time we see them fight, they're back to back. This man is slap slurping or slashing it on the left instead of helping with the fight. That's crazy. I've never seen so much confidence in your friend to just be like, yeah, keep going, man. You got this.
That is the kind of teammate everybody needs. I'm just going to stand here and fight. You just splash me while I fight. That is I love that. That's one of my favorite things I've seen. Wow.
Oh, the tracking on that on Tini too as he tries to leave the Citadel. Stopping him in his tracks. His heel's gone now. That's Putrick. Watching him walk by. I mean, these guys are so stoic, poised. I feel like it just mentally on a different level to everyone else in the way they approach this game.
Nothing can phase him.
Yeah?
You know what I mean? It's like he's seen it all. He's been there, done that. He's like, yeah, it's just another day. It's just a championship Sunday. What's that? That's every day for me. I am just a champion. That's how he feels at heart.
Yeah, I mean, so many people in the grounds to try to be that type of champion. Takada, the expert of the podium. What do we have cooking right now?
We got a lot cooking, Shayo. Thomas HD, Malibuka, you saw they were almost 400 damage above Surge, and in the first 2 games, they were having a lot of trouble with Surge. So what did they change up? You can see Malibuka quickly using those hollow keys to get that Breacher shotgun, but instantly, once they finish their Luth path, they continue to rotate out and look for those Surge locations, basing up in positions that they're not usually basing up at, constantly looking for opportunities, even making use of the natural mobility, the mud, to continue rotating quickly, going for their combat cache, looking for all the new angles possible to continue getting that Storm Surge, and like we saw, it is working.
Man, Takada has a nicest smile, bro. You just gotta love it. That info too, you know exactly where Tom's coming from. It's gonna be sick to see exactly how they keep it going. Chulex, Chicho didn't have as much inside of the house as to how their game started, but they're also 450 damage above. Cool to see the story of Thomas though, right, London?
Yeah, man, I'm rooting for those guys, man. I want to see the curse broken, so the better they do, it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
We'll see, man. You know, just a few more games still left. They got some chances back half of day 2. Golden Anchor, I think we had a little bit of a piece on them on the pre-show. That's what they could do, where they need to be, and based on what I saw on day number 1, we're doing really good at going back and forth with a few teams.
Yeah, Mini broke down sort of how they were able to traverse really tough rotations, right? The kind of rotations where you're going all the way to the other side of the map from where you land. And so they've shown that they could do it yesterday. Today, a far zone will be one that they're familiar with.
Try to keep running on that. No tripping for ref's guard. That's been a pattern we've kind of been seeing for both these players. Unfortunately, just not really having the cleanest games. Moving towards the backside of day 2. Anchor and Gold. We'll see how they roll. Finding ref's guard, interrupting that med kit, and now he's put on an ultimate timer. I mean, I don't think Anchor sees a teammate, so he might identify this as a solo situation. Gotta be careful how much you indulge in dip into the sauce of that though, because there are other people looking to eat on the right side. Take Vico. Little split plant, good for him. We'll keep him moving. Gold spending a lot of time inside the zone and hasn't really healed himself up just yet, so They'll be able to hit that group splash and get it as fast as possible on the right side. Zone moving towards the top left though, so they'll have a long ways to go. I don't think any of these players can stop moving. Misha and Tini as well have to just keep it rolling. What heals do they have? Medkits. We're actually delving into desperation times now. These guys, 10 slurps to 2 medkits. How far they fall?
I don't know, man, but all I know is these guys are cooking.
Yeah?
They're
still cooking?
These guys are cooking, man. I just like what I'm seeing.
All right. I'm seeing low surge, though.
I ain't working.
It rises, though. Some other people go down. Got the apples.
You see low surge, and then, like, we're just going to fast forward, and they're going to, like, come fourth or something.
Yeah.
They're cooking. I'm impressed.
Doctor's scared, too, in general. They had, like, 4 apples there. That's, like, 4 days of just protection. All those PhDs. Basroki, Kylie. They look like what we saw on day 1 from Golden Anchor, you know? Being a bit more disruptive, going through a lot of tough situations. But at the crutch of clutches, right? It's not just organized duo type gameplay. We saw some nice takes on height with these guys, but when it comes to execution, it's one of them really popping off.
Yeah, I think that might be the problem, right?
Yeah.
The game where kind of he clutched up, it was like, you know, they were happy about the zones they got in that game, but they still had to be a clutch to make that kind of game happen. So in games where they're not getting zones, it's like you're seeing them in positions like this where they are just, you know, very much struggling.
To be fair though, this is a ridiculous zone. Like this specific zone in this map is the utmost northern point that we can see past Brule Bastion. If the game is making you go past Brule Bastion, sympathy. You get sympathy from everyone that's watching. Because this is not easy for anyone to be able to roll with. Oh, players should be used to it though. This is very similar to game 2 on the day. Game 8, I guess. We've seen, you know, half Shady, half Glacier. And Misha and Tini actually rotating in really late. They'll step towards their next portion of the game. Right now, they're just taking a pit stop right here to rest. Let's see what Kiri has in the back as well. We saw them struggling a little bit at the beginning. Had to force a few fights and then got their surge up. Okay. That's just some damage though, right? Ooh, it's a knock on Volko.
Kiri is just, he is something, isn't he?
Yeah?
I love it. I love the emotion, man.
I'm liking the development of his personality in some of these FNCS, 100%.
Sure.
Been around for a little bit.
Yeah. Swizzy's taking on Seti.
Ooh.
Big dogs firing at it.
In terms of who has height now in the very beginning, that'll be up for grabs. That's full Elam. Maybe just a knock. We'll see if he's going to be able to get back up.
Cammy's running there. We just saw Cammy right in front of us. Rotating in front of Swizzy and... yeah, so it looks like it is just going to be a Cammy solo game for this one, but if we're being quite frank, what he's got to work with in this endgame is not the most fruitful, to say the least, so we'll see what Cammy can cook up.
It's not even an end game. This is like a game end in terms of the zone. You need like a squad to be able to make it past this one. It's just tough. Inside the ravine, you see chaos. Inside, or just around Swizzy and Putrick. They're in the eye of the hurricane as everyone else forces a fight.
That zone pool is a savior as well. For all these guys that are beneath the glacier, it means that they do not have to worry about spending the last few mats they have to try and get up.
I mean, all these guys who are down here are still bad on Surge though, so they're using these mats to fight. Teeny gets a lot of damage done here and gets a nice little refresh on a lot of his wood.
This is what I was talking about, man. They'll be down on Surge or low on Surge and then boom, 300, 400 up, looking in the best position in the game.
There's no cost for them though, right? If Thomas is in that position, he loses Malibuka. If Cammy's in that position as he is in this game, Seti goes down, right? Refsguard rotating, bad on Surge, Tripper goes away. Misha, Tini are always up side by side.
They find a way to stick with each other through these games, and that is not easy at all.
We know what it is. One guy's a shooter, other's a splasher. Right now it's time for them to synergize. Swizzy, Putrick, we're in the middle of all of this. Now they have to move. It feels like they make it impossible for themselves every time on rotation on purpose. Maybe just to warm up, to get active. Now they're going, all muddy, sliding up these ramps, and they make it look perfect. That is a very, difficult rotation done just flawlessly.
Yeah, and even maybe looking potentially to go back down as the zone opens up more towards the south of Shady Stilts. But look who it is that falls. It's Putrick that gets caught up in that rotation, and so it leaves Swizzy to his own devices. Thomas, he's not really been able to find much room as a solo here and eventually gets flushed out the lobby. But Swizzy really has a chance to cook as a solo with what he's working with. Materials are looking good. He's got some HP to play around in the zone with if he needs to, and the weaponry is always going to be on point for this duo.
Looking really good in this position. Meanwhile, the rest of the server still active in their fights. Vico picking up 2. Total Moneymaker also goes down. Got to focus almost on the ground though, as more teams have to elevate. Chicho, Trulex, both alive. That's a good sign. They're together now.
Very good sign. Because when they are together in these games, Shayo, magic always seems to happen. And Chico doing a very good job of blocking this back there. Needs to start catching up though with Trulex, as he's just sprinted forward.
Ooh, Swizzy down.
Yeah.
Kiri activated.
That is huge, because Kiri needs to be doing everything to start recouping points, catching up where possible. And that is a great opportunity to do so, taking out some of his biggest competitors.
Chicho did not make that slide down, but Trulex is actually picking him up in the middle of this rotation. Zone will eclipse him, I think, as this locks in. 10 seconds of timing and position loss, with your teammates still in the game, and it's Chicho. You need him in there. Clutch player makes it happen. Trulex has to get him to the next position now, and he has to keep up though. Inside the right box.
Pull back.
Ooh, and they have to go back towards that wall. Godwin over there took a lot of damage. He's not going to edit that one again. Matt's looking real low for Trulex. I don't think they have anything right now in terms of builds, so they have to lock in towards the fight.
This is so scary. Builds that aren't theirs. They literally were just fighting a team in.
And as this goes down on low, Swizzy gets another pick on the Seti again, so that's going to be completely going down. We'll keep rolling in and seeing exactly what happens next. Chicho back up on the backside with Trulex. Has some Hellfire in their boxes side by side. Kiri up front in a very good spot. Clownski rolls at the sky.
Yeah, and it's going to be an easy time up there for them. They're not really going to get much vision onto players beneath to be able to get the elims they want. So it's all about holding on, making sure there's nobody there to take height from them.
It's going to be tricky though, because it's just getting higher and higher as the ground drops lower. So Clownski and Grols, as you said, will have such less interactions with everyone. I don't even think elims are possible from this high of a layer. So Grols starts to go down.
Kiri and his duo user are looking up though. They are playing on them higher layers. And finally now starting to find their feet in this game. A refresh there in the zone. And now trying to top their way back in. They spot Hellfire running in. And they're going to try and put an end to his game.
Look, catching up. Everyone is so far behind zone. If you don't have splashes, you're going to go down. Kiri going by a wall. Double edit to reset. And then gets past the 2. He's working against his own teammate in the situation. And still landing shots. Clutch situation for Kiri though. On the right side, taking beam. Still landing big hits on the corny. But he gets that down.
And this is where Pink and Vico want to be. They're the ones that gatekeep the zone. But now getting stuck beneath. Running out of mats as well. And it's all about the players above them who have it. Clown and Grows, an easy game where no one's really contested them. And so they can just now sit down and spray as much as they can. Pink still in this game. Hellfire trying to run in after he lost Nebs. And it's going to be about those two fighting it out below. Pink picks him up. And so now the 2v1 for Pink to try and make some magic happen.
More mass on his left side. Chooses not to get that brick for now. Crouching on the backside. 200 middle to use. Big shot denied. Clownski rolls up high, wins that game.
Pink did his best, and he did big damage onto the duo. But unfortunately, he never was a match for them. They were just too stacked up above. And like we said, during the first move in zone, it was just so easy for them. Just had to top out, a bit of pressure here, a bit of pressure there, but nothing too crazy. Look at all these slurps. No wonder they were able to big chill like that. There was never going to be an issue for them with all that loot.
It's nice. The win condition for a difference of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on the day. They're going to be shooting up the rankings, doing really well on that win, and they wanted that win off the rip, right? Could have done so much more to stay down, get some more elims. So big shout out to Grols and Clownski on game 10. Textbook gameplay.
Yeah, in the double digits now, this is where things start to get serious. If you can have these kind of good performances, the difference is going to be crazy in terms of the money you're going to be making. And so they will be having a big, big smile on their faces after that one.
You mentioned double digits. We only got 2 more games to go. So tossing over to Ian to see what else we got lined up in store.
Levin Shire, thank you very much. You're right, money talks and we're at crunch time. And when it gets to crunch time, you've got to bring a Taco into the mix. Taco, how you doing? Welcome back.
Feeling pretty good. I mean, it's been a fun day so far.
Did you expect this duo to come out on top in Game 10?
After seeing what they did with the height overtake, yeah, that was just an excellent height advantage that they played out entirely, and not really a whole lot that the rest of the lobby could do. We've seen so many teams getting suppressed in those lower layers.
Yeah, we did. It was Vox and DKS all the way up on height. They got chopped, and it was a perfect high ground retake at a really good time, because, of course, they had so many of those slurp pieces. They were able just to expend those and, of course, expend the materials that they had, as well as just absolutely perfect stuff. Using, of course, those flapjack rifles, just keep applying that pressure down below. I mean, look at his ammo. He has so much he can just keep raining on down.
And the other thing to keep in mind as well is that this opportunity was provided by the fact that we saw some of our heavy hitters higher up on the leaderboard not be contenders, essentially, for the high ground. I mean, we've seen Swizzy and Putrick up there time and time again, but as we know, had an earlier spill earlier on, getting Elim opened up the route for Growls and Klonsky to essentially take it.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from this duo.
It makes it entertaining for a neutral watching along, isn't it, when some of the big hitters do drop out earlier on, because it means we can see some different duos that we haven't necessarily seen up top really perform.
Yeah, I mean, Pink and Vico, one of those teams that, of course, did end up performing well right there. We saw Pink just trying to clutch up as much as he can. Getting a second place for those guys is really, really good, because that was a really difficult zone considering their drop spot as well. It's a very north zone, and they land quite far to the south, so it's good to see them starting to perform under difficult circumstances, but it's a little bit too little too late potentially, or can they clutch up?
I mean, there's still opportunity, I think, to try and really break into that top 10, and that's the main focus right now for Pink and Vico. They know that they're behind on the day. They knew that it was going to be a difficult circumstance, but the VOD reviewing sure to have helped them out a bit, because here they are in an endgame, and again, it's really just about making it to the endgame and giving them this opportunity to perform, because Pink, even though he lost Vico early on, you have to remember, Vico still had 6 eliminations, which is bound to play a pretty big part into their total point count.
We've seen Pink just clutching up so many times. We've also seen Vico doing it probably more often than Pink, and I think that's what I really like about this duo, is both individuals are so solid, are so strong, that we often talk about Vico as the guy that's going to clutch up as a solo right there, but Pink's saying, you know what, I got that too.
Yeah, and I mean, you alluded to the top 10. Here it is right now, and let's not forget, you know, there are some teams in the mix that have already qualified for global championships, but in theory, the top 10 positions, it will filter on down. It's vital that you make it, and we've only got 2 more games to go.
And again, look at Vico and Pink, though, up 7 positions. They have successfully infiltrated the top 10 of the leaderboard. It's not even just the prize pool it's up for grabs. You have to remember, it's that contention for globals, and Pink and Vico aren't qualified yet, so they definitely want to hold on and really want to keep going up.
Irian and User as well. These guys are doing fantastically well, moving up 3 places. Of course, that now puts them in the qualification range for the global championships, and that's what it's all about. It's not too late yet.
Still time. And listen, if Swizzy and Putrick drop early again, anything could happen, and that is exactly what happened this time around. Let's just touch back on that one more time.
Yeah, I mean, when your front runners are going down this early on, a lot of other teams will start to catch up, will start to get those points, and very, very rare from this duo. I was very surprised to see them go down at this point, very uncharacteristic. Maybe nerves are having a part to play, because this is a pretty good zone for them. We've seen them performing different circumstances, and I wouldn't say this was a more difficult circumstance than before.
And again, it was really definitely a tough spot for Swizzy to ultimately be left in, losing Putrick, but it's difficult when you're trying to make those rotations. Sometimes you just get that little bit of an overextension that takes you one moment too far, and by then it's already too late. Even if your surge is looking good, you've got to make sure your rotations and the positioning keeps up.
I mean, ultimately, there's a lot riding on everything that's going down here today, and of course, when you're at that top upper echelon, to maintain that level of pressure is not easy. Let's look at another front runner in second place, Tulips and Chico or Chicho.
Yeah, fantastic duo, of course, moving up 2 places, and they've been sort of consistent today as well. They've been managing to make their rotations pretty well, and again, this isn't an easy zone for them to rotate, so looking good, looking for those refreshes, and even towards that end game, we see them here with 1 elimination, which is very, very rare to see a team in that top 6, top 7 with only 1 or 2.
And it just kind of is a big indicator as well to the fact that they're just being really smart about how they're actually moving through these layers, because again, you know how many teams are going to actually be trapped inside those mid-ground layers, a lot of congestion being forced as well because of Growls and Klonsky basically forcing everybody to those lower layers and just sticking it through. And again, the way those moving zones are pulling through some of the natural terrain also pose a pretty big issue for these teams.
Ouais, faut lui tirer les flingues, c'est une dinguerie.
That has been dropping here, there, and everywhere throughout the entire 10
Ouais, mais
games
du
so
délai
far,
comme
right?
ça.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, it's. I mean, we alluded to it earlier on. Of course, Teeny and Misha, they've been dropping all over the place.
But I want to highlight that, but we need a name for this little thing. What should we call it?
The drop swap.
Drop swap. You taking
There you
credit
go.
for my name?
Oh wow!
Oui, mais du
Wow,
délai
is he
comme
doing
ça.
like
As
that?
if we pre-planned it.
Drop swap. I mean, they are landing absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, they are. I mean, this is really something we haven't seen before in an FNCS Grand Finals. Even in some of the lower level lobbies in the weekly finals, we just don't see this at all. And we can see them highlighted right here. Of course, those yellow X's where they've landed multiple times. And we can see just the distribution. They're not landing in a similar sort of area. They're going all over the shop.
Yeah, it seems as though they've really just done a lot of VOD reviewing themselves, though, because this is a strategy that depends almost entirely on knowing other teams' loot spot rotations. And the fact that they're able to interrupt so many teams' loot paths while still finding a victor round process marked by the current yellow X on the map just goes to show that they've definitely put in their homework to make sure that this method can work out for them.
Yeah, they are. And it's one of those sort of teams that I think they're one of those fighting teams that can definitely do it. Not many teams can just sort of sneak into your loot path and then end up taking you out, getting all that Storm Surge, because a lot of teams like plan this drop spot. They plan around their Storm Surge strategy. They plan their rotations. But when you're landing almost every single side of the map, you can't rely on the prior knowledge. You can't rely on what you know because it's going to change every single game. And I think that's what's most impressive about this duo is no matter where they're landing, they're still finding success without any preparation, it seems.
And like you said, Taco, this yellow marker here is, of course, where they picked up the dub.
Yeah.
But it does make you extraordinarily unpredictable, right?
Definitely unpredictable, but at the same time, the whole lobby has got to be watching their backs. We've seen a couple of teams get cut off and elimed in the process, but Misha and Teeny, they're definitely on the prowl.
How have we only got 2 games left? How have we got to this point that quickly? I'm having the time of my life.
Great.
I know we've got Last Chance Major and all that to look forward to, but this is crunch time, as I keep saying. This is where it's pivotal. We've got 2 games, the penultimate game. If you are in that lower deck a little bit towards maybe 11th to 20th and even beyond, this is where you've really got to pop off. Who's taking this one?
Anybody's game, really.
Swizzy and Putrick, I don't think that game's going to set them off guard.
All right, for the second to last time this evening, we are crossing over to our amazing casters. You know what time it is? It's game 11. Let's get on the bus.
There are just 2 chances remaining to lock in your spot, not just for the Global Championships, for this Major Free, and what a major it has been, Shayo, all throughout the qualifiers. All these players making plays leading up to these last 2 games. There's been a lot to figure out, but we've seen some crazy things.
So much to watch. The best matches we've seen. Interesting power duos. We're only allowed to play 3 or 4 games per 2 days, and just fun stories about winning at doors. I mean, this EU FNCS, I feel like it's been the most special we've seen so far.
A lot of surprises, right? We're not gonna act like we predicted it to go this way, but I think very good surprises. And so as we head into game number 11, we'll see if there are any more surprises to unravel as we wrap things up. Miniman is saying there he believes Swizzy and Putrick will hold on. I'm with him. I think they've been so dialed in.
I'm gonna let you finish. But Pablo and Lil Bevies are the best duo of all time if they're allowed to play the game.
And we'll see if they're allowed to play the game, right? We got a chance to see it. Do they win this battle contested at Secluded Spy? They did last game and then got cleaned up by Akira and Skyjump.
Oh!
Pick up the shotguns this time.
No!
A quick little dodge.
Oh, la chance qu'il a trollé.
I was surprised to go for the chase.
80,
Amber's pistol to Bevies. Another one to Pablo blocked. Shotguns here, but they know the danger.
Bien joué. Nano, calé.
Another one good for Pablo. Not done yet though. Where's Skyjump? That's a big question, right? It's not done. Also, but it's not finished.
The good thing is that
il a eu peur, j'ai dit pioche Pablo.
the revive can come through and
Ouais,
anybody that comes to third party.
Oh, I assume he's cooking.
il a vu qu'il a pris 2 coups de pioche, il avait un coup, il a eu peur, il a...
Creaky like it's his hometown.
Yes, quel boy.
Yeah, he's making it that.
See exactly how that happened.
Il a pompe le lit en verre, il a peur de se faire piocher. Ah, ça c'est...
Taking the brute force up.
Bien joué un HP.
Eye drop taken out.
Il a fini son mate, nickel, bien
Big
joué.
shot.
Et
Nice
j'ai
line.
mis... qui prend les 2
They gotta
kills.
come back. I mean, there's a bunch of teams that are, you know, maybe middling or they're down right now. We'll see if they can actually bring it back. Look at Misha and Teeny. They're playing off the map for the moment.
J'aimerais bien qu'il remette l'action, où Pablo il se fait piocher, il a pris 2 coups de pioche, il a eu peur, il a retourné avec son coup en arrière. Puis
Untouchable. The ghosts of Fortnite. You can't stop them. They go anywhere they want to go. You guys are ready for the fight this time.
moi j'avais pas vu qu'Akira maintenant il passe par là. Hier il backait pas par là hier.
A different Pablo Wingu. Trying to get close and personal, but this is just very similar. It's just kind of a off drop, one loot, available fight. Big edit, nice mammoth retake on the wall, but not gonna be found past that. 1D defense and double walls up top that are controlled by Bevies. Skyjump has that mid wall though, and another one too, so in terms of chassis, been able to actually push up the pawns. Bevies
Oh, bien joué, 1v1.
as a king. You can't stop him. No checkmate here. A big siphon.
Pablo qui a 0 balle de pompe. Il y a le corps, il peut réanimer. En face. Ah vraiment là, s'il meurt, il en voudra à son moment. De toute façon, il peut vraiment. Il a pas été là. Il a un space en or. Et wesh, dinguerie wesh. Ouais, si oui pas, je comprends pas wesh.
Pound for pound, those guys are
Okay.
Gets a siphon,
Wow.
faded out. They are stopped
GG.
again.
Wow. They are the most powerful duo in the lobby when they just get out of secluded spire.
Thanos can't get his glove. He doesn't have the stones. It's tough.
It is.
That's what it is.
It's really tough to see because we know what they can do and give them a chance to play out games, but Akira and Skyjump are just going to keep on hunting.
The duo we've seen nothing from basically this day 2. Ken and Uguay had some struggles, just about 24 points on the day in total. Was hitting way around town in their lonely laps. It'll be slightly different knowing that Misha's here now and kind of
c'est la faute de Paul. Ce mec il avait fait le taf, il en a aucun.
I feel like Skyjump's
Ils ont
only purpose is to challenge this on-spawn fight.
2v1, non.
They're gone too.
Yeah,
Il a même
that
pas essayé de tuer par le
they've
mec.
not been able to showcase much of their talents, but still leading the charge, leading the way, showing. I'm sure they're big inspirations to many console grinders out there who aspire to be at the top level.
This will be a big comeback for Nebs and Hellfire as well.
70.
Slightly consistent points on the end. Those top teams are really raking it in though, so if they want to change up their placements where they end up inside these EU finals, gotta make sure that today just goes really well. Quincy Group is just having trouble winning any of these 2v2 fights. So many different duos, it always ends up in a 2v1. Quincy burning through these materials, trying his best to stay afloat. As Hellfire, no, you want to push for it, but so many other factors of other duos coming in and whatnot could be a possibility. Type zone as well. I mean, it's slightly towards this side, but it seems just more right side centric right now, which means a lot of teams will be able to play this game slightly normally. Some more caches will be viable 11 in general.
Je sais pas s'ils font des carrés de Evoque. Que tirer c'était juste à côté au lieu de tirer le milieu de la forme. Avec des mecs qui tuent ok.
And playing there and doing well, right? Very comfortable at that spot, but obviously not there. Almost like a fish out of water at times. Teeny and Misha.
Non, il y a pas moi. Ah, ok, ça il sort de zone.
They're always up to something, aren't they? Always up to something.
I think a fine line between life and demise. But they're good for now. Ooh.
Push, son mec
Getting
qui
the
est
team
aidé.
coming.
Qui est une
He's
pièce de
just crack
relance.
open that med mist and make sure he's ready for this fight. They want this. This is nice for them. And they've won this fight yesterday and many times before, so let's go for it. Deox's really good at prepped fights. You know, sneaking around, getting that one free shot, making a fight in their favor. So when they don't get that, yeah, it's not going to be the best fight for them to take. Gonna back up first, make the zone work in their favor. Jakey down,
Qui vient de tomber.
Deal traded.
Ça va être qui récupère le kill.
what's going on in this fight? That's a big question that
Il se fait push.
will
Aïe
ask in just a
aïe.
moment.
Il a récupéré qui mais il se fait push.
Robo
Up
Axe
on
versus
Roban.
everyone's kind of losing a little bit of the patience of slower fights and maybe even losing their balance. Savage is going to be tracked only
Il est
against
mort.
Mats. Big man with
Il est mort,
Savage.
Savage.
That just doesn't miss.
Aïe 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 aïe. Pistolet qui est
So
redoutable. Hein.
consistent in shooting when he's able to get fights. I think the biggest trouble for this team is
Ouais.
finding a duo
Savage
that's
qui est
willing to
tombé.
have a fight
Dommage.
like this, having the room to have a fight like this. It's mainly just been Savage, Vidil, and Archie who's had a chance to actually
Dommage, il a pas bu, mais c'est
find
dommage.
these players earlier on. I feel like these guys
Sur ça,
struggle with
il
that
faut
surge,
qu'il
but in
le
this
dommage.
game at least they've been able to keep going, do what they need to do. On the other side of things, Vortex, Belusi, we've seen lots of high towers work in Belusi's favor in the earlier day one.
Poste
And
de
it's a
but
fight.
là.
Belusi
Du
usually
coup, au
goes
truc
out early. We'll have to see Vortex
moyen
do
de se
a few
sortir.
clutches. I think game 3 of day 1 was like that.
Vortex.
Hopefully that's not what it's like in this one. A fight's not totally needed right here. You could just disengage it right beside zone.
Yeah, and I think they've opted to do it. It looks like it's gone that way. Still need to be careful though, because free damage will always be taken when given the opportunity. Some teams
Ça
drifting
va,
out
c'est la 11e game.
off the jungle area now
Il en reste une
into
dernière
Mega
après.
City.
Après, venez sur Twitch après. Les streams. Je veux dire, c'est de passer diamant. Je suis
I
parti
think
le 3
Chopper's
là.
have done a really good pivot this entire FNCS Grand Finals to actually have playable games all the way up till game 11, right? We were expecting this to be a brutal 50-50 off spawn against Refsguard and Tripper. Up till this point, have been really good at just playing their own game. I mean, you've seen how tough it is with Surge and the end games we've been seeing so far, so they have to make sure that the games they do get to play, they get as many points as possible.
Pink and Vico, I'm super excited after that last game, right?
Yeah.
Spoke to Pink after yesterday's performance, and the main issue they were really having is that they just weren't getting to endgames as a duo. Right, we saw a bunch of Vico as a solo moments yesterday. The first game we see them as a duo in endgame, Pink's able to get second place, right? So these guys can stick together. Silly little small mistakes are the things that are stopping them from getting there together. And if they can iron those out, they will climb in these last 2 games.
This is a zone that works better for them too, so I feel like
Le mec du X s'est fait knock.
might be time for them to just lock it in. Get at least 3 good games under their belt.
Si on en
One
avait un
more
pour
happened,
l'instant.
and 2 more are yet to go. Game 11 of EU Grand
Contre
Finals.
Australie.
Last major of the year as well. We have a last chance major coming up, but in terms of official majors that have numbers attached, this is the final one.
D'ailleurs, je sais pas si c'est un
Last
mec
chance
là-bas,
major is gonna
22,
be
je sais
crazy
pas
as
quoi.
well. Very, very
non.
proud. There'll be a lot of
C'est
teams
une team de 2.
who you're watching on your screen here today that won't quite be able to get the job done to make it to globals, and so will be forced to play in that last chance major.
C'est tenter une sneaky
6
dessus.
games too. Yeah, I mean that's like where tensions are real high.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's also where we see sort of the teams who've got it or not, you know?
Yeah.
Who's got that clutch gene. That's what it's all about.
Du coup,
Refsguard
triple
first to fall
fight.
now. Clutch Gene non-existent for this game. But it's not his
Bon,
fault.
le
I feel like
fight
this
est
is
fini.
just off drop. It's the zone. Tripper left alone. They have struggled though in this FNCS. This has been rough for the duo.
Yeah, I think at
Trappe qui
times
fait
yesterday they
sous la
showed us
sneak
glimpses
sur un mec.
Yeah.
of their ability
Ah, il
to
revient.
maybe be a force in these games, but
I smell the little Stevie Stacks coming from them, you know? Nice reminding of old times of how both those guys played side by side, but not on the same team. Am I tripping? Might be tripping. It is what it is. Strapped and us. We'll move on. I think Strapped has been the most surprising out of everyone in this entire FNCS Finals lobby, right? First FNCS coming in,
Bien pour le moment.
looking so good. More on him in just a second as Takata has a very important message we cannot miss.
Oh,
Thanks,
ça peut
Shai. We're
se
taking a look
estimer
at
avec
Cammy
lui.
and Seti. You saw during this moment of the match, they were still in Frenzy Field. So what do they do to get there? Starting off, making use of that double person under the capture point to capture it quicker due to recent changes, and then going for those drones, which actually got them some slap splashes that they're going to use later on in the match. Now, they started going for the regular Storm Surge route after upgrading or purchasing one of the Mammoth pistols, actually dropping their AR for it, but as they were en route to the regular Storm Surge path, they saw that there was already a duo based up on a ridge that they go to, so they decided to go right back to their POI and get Surge from where they started from.
And Cammy, of course, still a big threat in this tournament for the potential first place. And so we'll keep our eyes on them. Teeny. This is a bit of a switch up, right? We're used to seeing them together. We were bigging that up last game, Shayo.
Yeah. Very different.
Yeah, he's going to have to go for the reboot now.
Is he a guy who reboots, or is he a guy who just, you know, makes a brother watch?
I mean, under these circumstances, you probably should be thinking about a reboot. I don't think it'd be impossible.
Does he have the facilities for that is the question, because zones are closing ink, and at the same time, this man is running out of builds. And Uruguay swam their whole way around Lonely to get to this spot. Allen is also spawning, so contesting those big points. Grolls, Clownski, they're here. From a win to a position of getting even more points again. We'll see if it's possible for them to turn game 11 their way again. Ken's not letting this happen for free. Another team comes in towards Rift Island, and now actually it shoots them from way far away. Now they gotta be careful as to what they open and what they don't. Also, Loot's already down. Grills has got this. Trapped at the top because of the cone. Love to see it. Not too many people here. It's such a awkward spot for the island to be. I feel like this is the least populated. We'll see it all major.
Yeah, I want to go back to game number 8, where it was just like 20 teams up there, man. Like, where's that gone?
That was supposed to like catching 2 end games at the same time.
Do people not want to like get 15 points? Like, come on, guys, like 15 points for free. Think about it. Right now, you have a certain amount of points, and you could just add 15. Like, hello? Like, am I missing something here?
You need a megaphone inside the game.
Oh, they do not want to give me that power. They do not want to give me that power. Look at this zone all the way in the southeast. Kenjutsu crossing vibes. Barely anybody in it. Literally about 4 teams operating in the zone at the moment. The rest of the lobby all have to make their way to that safe zone within a matter of minutes.
If I'm Roban, I'm so happy. And this is exactly where he's supposed to be. Inside the crossing, looking for any tag that he can find. Should be so good on Surge, but some opportunities missed. Mammoth Pistol not connecting just yet. This is the first time we're going to really see these guys have the game come to them.
I feel like I'm watching Queasy and Veno from Chapter 2 right here, just chilling on top of Kenjutsu. Everybody having to rotate into you. Big chilling. Don't think we'll see the same endgame greatness from these guys, but who knows, who knows?
Never doubt.
Needs to be careful, don't want to over-peak. There are players at the gas station looking at you. I think it was that was trying to get involved in the action. Teeny is going to look like he's playing this one out as a solo. And I don't doubt him as a solo, to be fair. I don't doubt Teeny at all anymore after the things he's shown me this weekend. But certainly is not looking favorable. Such a long way to rotate in and so many different teams ahead of him. His position is not the best spot to be in at all. And his location is now known by those players, or some of those players above him. I mean beneath him, sorry.
Yeah, something cooking with the slide. No build, so he's just being very careful as to where and how he moves. Has to share the slide as well a little bit, so
qui fait du moins bien.
the POV of Teeny's end, I guess, this game. I mean,
Waouh, ça va être chaud pour lui, non?
I'm trying to like theorize how he gets back into this game.
Wow.
Would have like ran into the vault and tried to get some shields or some loot.
Vite sortir, mettre de dégâts.
The game continues with or without Teeny. And Trulex will definitely be happy about
bien,
that.
vraiment.
His loot is looking great.
Crois pas dessus. Oh là là, 188.
And he's getting some
Les deux en
free
HP.
damage onto Axforce and Roban.
Il va pas les jouer, ok. Wow.
That's anyone else, I feel like that's a full fight ready to happen.
Yeah, but I think the good thing is it shows their discipline, their maturity.
Truc, ça joue grave bien à Storm, hein, vraiment.
Take the fight, using it to get ahead of that team, right? Roban and Axforce were rotating to where they wanted to get to. They were ahead. They said, no, you guys have to stop, heal up for a second. We'll run straight past you, and now we can just keep holding you in, keep stopping you from getting into the zone.
Tulis just wants to get Chicho ahead to a spot where they can get even more damage done. There's a reason for that too. You stop for a fight right now. Look at how mobile every other arrow is on that bottom right side of the map. They are just moving to that zone line as fast as possible. Luca right beside him too.
Ouais, il faut lui faire des kills pour pas jouer heal. Être de la Storm.
No big chill. And they're being stopped now. The worst thing that could happen here is this zone going bottom left, but I don't think that's like physically possible.
I don't know what's possible anymore.
Il vient de tomber.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We forgot about the TD calls, bro. We forgot about TD.
What am I seeing? How? Please.
That's two people's worth of loot, right?
There's just no way he survives this, right?
C'est bien
I know I
sûr
already
que
said
c'est
this in this game, but there's just no way he survives this, right?
Le problème là, que c'est la zone avec les démons 5, ça va être chaud.
There's one team above.
There's
Okay,
like
two
4
teams
teams.
now.
If he's zip line.
Hold up, zip it.
If he's zip line.
Zip it, no.
C'est compliqué de sortir.
Nah, what am I seeing?
Cade arrive à sortir.
Does it make sense?
Wow.
How?
I'll allow Seti to glide, but there's no way with 3 people looking at you on
J'ai
that
bien.
zip
Like, come on, bro.
that you live.
This is what you call TV
crois
magic.
pas, mais c'est abusé ou quoi, wesh?
Sense.
Dinguerie, wesh.
He's got to move and he's got zone to go with 2. This is doable,
This
man.
guy, man.
What?
Like, I did not,
C'est
like,
trippé,
my
hein,
brain does
ouais.
not comprehend. Mustache and hide on Bush, deciding it's time to rotate on by. Mustache needs to be right behind hide on Bush, needs to make sure he's following properly.
Touch.
Cannot afford to get too split up, and it looks like he has gotten a bit split up from him. You know, hide on Bush down to the left, and they have their eyes towards refs and tripping.
Just gotta wait for Hanan Bush to mat up and then go. Lots of people taking this bridge. Nice little build that Roban and Axforce will follow as well. Seti Kami also alive in this game. And as Kami's picking up Seti, they're the first one to get into the zone. It's trouble. He's got to protect his man. This is a replay for a reason.
Wow, il a eu 180 dommages.
Goes down. They had the dead side rotate. They had the power. That could have been a huge game.
Ce sera pas la deuxième place pour Camille, c'est
That might just be first place locked out for them for now.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very happy sight if you are Swizzy and Putrick.
Tout à l'heure, il tient bien d'être pas OP tout à l'heure. Sur le clutch, il joue bien. Hein.
Just marvel at how impressive
Il n'y a pas de bombe en plus.
these guys have been putting
Ouais,
on
des
this
bombes, il n'y a pas de bombe. Aïe, aïe.
Everything to get to this point though. So, gotta see what happens next. At the moment, it just looks like Swizzy and Putrick, they are alive this game.
Pour
They're
prendre 2
looking
points,
healthy.
je pense que t'as une good game, hein, vraiment.
50% chance on
Prendre 2
win the entire
points,
competition.
I
ouais.
think this game is it, man. I think this game, if it translates into a top performance, we're talking top 5, some higher limbs, it could be the difference maker that wins them the FNCS.
This is the race though. Everyone moving as no one's even close to where this next zone's coming through. And we know since Swizzy just moves a little bit later, zone's even not moving just yet, you can't have a chance to get some free real estate in front of all these new builders, but they'll be about 4th or 5th place on the dash. A few people still behind them. The best thing right now is just position. Unfortunately though, we're going past a huge mountain here near Stevie Springs.
Yeah, they're gonna have to start thinking about how they get up and over that mountain without getting stuck beneath some of the other teams that will be there on their way. Teeny just trying to figure out where his piece fits in this puzzle. Where can he slot in and find some space? Where can he capitalize on somebody who is in similar spot to him? And I think he finds Asa hiding and he wraps his way into the box. Teeny is on a tear.
This guy controls destiny. He knows where every solo is all the time. I don't know what type of magic this is, but I want some.
And he's going to keep it moving as well. Does not stop. As more players come in, It's hide and bush and
Tirer par
mustache
le
in the
levier en
way.
face.
If he wants to do something to these guys, that would
C'est
truly be
Olive.
impressive. Needs to be
Aïe, aïe.
careful to get out of the way. This player's taking shots at him and they're chasing him down.
Gimmy's
Je
not
suis du
stopping
côté,
now.
aïe,
Two
il va
different
tomber,
layers
je
on
pense.
it. No more builds. 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. That's his last material. Has to get creative with it now. Can't really elevate, so he has to go down
il va
low.
tomber,
TD is
dommage.
gone. But what a performance to stay in the game for that long.
Yeah, was
Pas
able
de
to
chance,
touch
toute
some
la
extra
ligne de
points,
frère
which will go a long
Fourier,
way.
c'est
This is
dingue.
what we didn't want to see though. Pink is down, and that means
Il a bien
Vico
clutch,
has
hein,
to
le
touch
clutch,
up
vraiment, il a
solo.
bien clutch. Hein.
The clutches that we saw though, bounce backs, Vico uses them so well. And this is going back into huge builds that so many teams have already built down.
But will he be able to recoup another second place performance, right? That's the
Parce
goal
qu'on a
for this
doté
team,
nos
to
heights.
try and mount to come back up the standings. These guys aren't worried about coming back, they're worried about extending the lead, and they look poised to do so. Trulex and Chicho begin their journey though, way in the back of the zone here in the first move-in.
It's gonna be tough for everyone here though. I see 17 mats, 14 mats for a bunch of these low ground teams that really made that dash to get
Son
good
match,
versus
il lui reste plus que 100.
looking for some type of refreshes, but haven't found much just yet. Everyone
son
on
mid
that
fait
bounce
drop un
back
peu.
is looking super passive. So yeah, even for Vico, Matt's looking super thin.
And that does not bode well for anybody around him, because that means he's just left to his devices with the shotgun. And we know he can do crazy things with that in hand. Praying for a pullback zone, potentially werewolf zone pull.
Oh, nickel, ça repart sur, il est bien, vraiment.
Another pullback again. That's huge.
Il est pas
Vico
tout en
just
bas.
gets to live.
Just exactly
Aye.
what he needed, and it gives
Reste
him
en
a
bas,
bit
reste
more
en bas.
time to try and find something and connect.
He's looking for those shots. Vico, I still see him alive. Letting people go by. Chicho moving in. Players right beside
Bien joué,
him.
grosse passe
Hopefully a
dessus.
solo. Nope, duels
Ah,
behind him.
dommage.
It's done. Nice try for Vico. Lived a little bit longer, but couldn't clutch that much more plays.
Trulex and Chicho though, even with their low material count, still pursuing a nice position in the zone. And they need to find some
Tu
sort
vois,
of
ils ont un
quick.
totem toujours
Everyone
right.
playing with rations. This entire layer of low ground doesn't go past up 2 builds. Putrick and Swizzy though have gotten so many mats. I'm not sure how much Curve and Fibro have on height, but they can contest it with how much they have right now.
But you say everyone playing with rations except for these guys, and they are the lobby leaders. No matter how difficult the zone is, they manage to make things
Collection
work.
tombée, ah,
They're
c'est
doing
bon,
it here
c'est
again. Can stay in the back of the
Qui
zone
récupère
as
le
they have the
teammate.
slots to pop. And now gonna move
Pourquoi pas une reprise de
over
height pour
everybody
Putrick.
else, even looking for height now as well. The flank is coming through.
Une reprise de height.
Not
Oh
seeing
là
it
là.
there, bro. Didn't see it coming, and they will just ramp right above this team.
A double tower taken. They
Excellent,
land it.
nickel.
In stride, Curve dropped down and taken out. That's just huge.
Il y a plus de 200 de bourg, faire
Fibro
attention.
is kind of by himself. All damage is his demise. Putrick and Swizzy, that's textbook.
They are about to win this game and potentially secure a championship for themselves. No pressure for them. They just play in their zone, in their element. Roban needed that bounce back. He was praying for it, and it came.
They have the entire playing field in their kind of domain. A big bounce back, which means height's that much harder to take. Robed gonna be cooked here inside low.
Ah, Robin qui a bien raté, il va tomber.
Everything down low is just absolute pressure. Forces you can't even
C'est un
fathom.
qui vient de tomber.
Fibro hits a big shot.
Totem,
Instant
oh oui,
down,
totem.
2v1
On avait deux là.
and you can
Pourquoi pas le
smell
faire?
victory
Il a
up in the
200 de
air.
maths.
And it was the team that bullied him off high ground
Contre Sweezy.
that he now has to beat in the 1v2. And they will not let it happen at any cost. They've been in this situation before. They cannot afford for another 1v2 to not go their way. They need to make it happen. They'll be a bit more
Il va être chaud de
concerned.
l'un des deux. là.
Not jumping down willy-nilly. And they can't
Putrick,
even
il a plus de maths.
out there.
Putrick's run out. It's cost him so much, but he's the front man. He's the
Ah,
man.
dommage.
Swizzy finds it though. What a good win. What a good day. And what a good tournament for Swizzy.
Et Putrick
and
qui gagne la
Putrick.
11e
Swizzy
game.
and Putrick have no intention of letting go of first place. When all their biggest competitors were falling left, right and center, they stayed true till the end of the game. A beautiful flank to take high ground as well. And they deliver on the goods. A big win and a big performance from Swizzy, picking up all the limbs towards the end there.
Absolutely.
Essaie
Live it
de
up
mettre
to
au feu.
consistency. Tune in to
Ils ont
just
fait une belle reprise de height.
all
Bon,
you
GG.
were doing right now your eyes after this game are definitely on Swizzy and Putrick. They're in the limelight. They've got the win under their belts. They're ready for the final game of EU.
It's looking so good for these two. Very, very proud of them. When Swizzy burst onto the scene in EU, many people said this is a player with the caliber to be able to win an FNCS. Him and Shamoki couldn't get it done. They didn't have the winning formula. But Swizzy now playing with Putrick seems like they have it all understood.
It's figured out, and we got to find out more about the tournament. Who else is in contention? Only the desk knows the answer to all these questions.
Guys, thank you very much. Swizzy, Putrick, two names that we've been saying all day long. They took that first place position. They wanted to lock it up, throw away the key, and it looks like they've done that, right?
Yeah, what a fantastic game for them. Off the back of not the best game to end. That is champion mentality right there. It just shows that they might have got knocked down a little bit from that last game, not being their best, but they've come back with aplomb right now.
Yeah, you absolutely called it. They were not rattled in the slightest, and the confidence that they had in their strategy for the final zones, in particular, the fact that they went for such a late high take against Curb and Firebro, and that immediate pressure, it again can just be credited towards the fact that they knew they had enough materials, they knew they had the proper resources, and the mythic flapjack as well from Putrick. We've seen it be such a menace towards teams on those lower layers in terms of preventing them from trying to get any sort of reclimb.
I mean, look at this from Swizzy as well. You talk about winning. They won it twice almost. They still had a slurp juice, a med miss, and of course those splashes as well. So even if they did just go to a heal off, they still had it all.
You see it in all competitive sports and esports. But a team maybe takes a little bit of a shake. It looks like they're about to stumble and fall, and they bounce back. That is championship material.
For sure. Not only that, but all eyes have been on that secluded Spire drop spot for the longest time because of the fact that it has a vault there. But it might have been Eastern Watch all along that was the real dark force here or dark horse force at least for Swizzy and Putrick, because they've been securing that vault. They've been finding, again, those mythic weapons and the mythic slurps, and it's just been working out so well.
Securing positions on the leaderboard. Let's take a look at it right now because it is pivotal. It is big time right now going into the final game of the weekend. 653 points. That is massive stuff.
207 points ahead of TrueLegs and Chico. But TrueLegs and Chico have done a fantastic job of holding that second place spot as well. Even for them, that was a really, really tough rotate, but they keep proving as to why they deserve to be in that top spot. You can see the eliminations haven't been quite much of course, no victory royale.
Du coup, ils sont bien montés en 5ème.
Been so good. And even when they're down bad and looking bad on the materials and everything, they still managed to pull something crazy out of the bag.
That is such a massive lead, though. I mean, at this point, for TrueLegs, they've really got to try and pull out all the stops if they want to secure. If anything, I think it's mostly setting on ensuring that second place stays intact for them. But so far, like you just mentioned, Minnie, it hasn't come off the back of Victory Royale. It's just been consistent gameplay through placements alone.
That top position, the top part of this table. There's still some room for movement in some areas, and that is vital for a lot of our teams that are competing here, because ultimately there are positions up for grabs in the global championships. Now, originally it is the top 10 teams that qualify. Many, of course, some of our teams in the top 10 have already made it to the big dance, so it will drop a little bit further, maybe to around 15th place. We've got to see some teams make some moves here at this part of the table and beyond.
Yeah, this is where it all gets real, because for these teams, realistically, they have to be thinking, right, we're going into the last game, we need to try and focus on global championships qual. We're not going to be able to get that Axe of Champions, but for teams like Nebs and Hellfire moving up, these guys are very, very aggressive. They're not afraid to take those mid-game fights, and I'm expecting that from them in this game. If they want to move into that top 13, top 12 sort of location as to where they need to be on the leaderboard, they're not too far away right now, but a lot of the times it does just depend on how all the other teams do. If everyone else is getting points, then you need to just take over that sort of points.
Yeah, for me, it's Pablo Wingo and Bevies. I mean, again, 307 points. Quite a massive comeback story for them here today in day 2 as well, because being at that secluded Spire, having that 50-50 right off spawn, it's definitely a difficult position for them to be in, but we've seen this team acquire such high placements. Realistically, if they're able to find a Victory Royale, that could just be enough for them to make it through. I
mean, they deserve it just based on those games. They do make it off spawn, because if they can do that more consistency, then yeah, they should be in those global champions.
It's roughly around the 16 and 17 mark where you might qualify at this stage. Now that is roughly, because anything can change, of course, in our final game. one team that jumped up a place again, and it is nice to see them in fantastic form, Vico and Pink.
And Vico and Pink, I mean, at this point, I think it's also just trying to climb for some of that prize pool benefit, because Vico, Pink, they've definitely been on a bit of a tear for these last couple of matches, and it is not an easy feat by any means trying to work through these low ground layers. We've seen so many teams essentially just get choke pointed inside of that congestion that's taking place on the low ground, and even in a solo situation, we saw Pink perform. Now, again, seeing Vico perform, it's just about them staying on pace.
And they're not qualified at Global Championships yet. This is a huge point for them if they can close it out inside of those qualification spots, because even in that content piece we saw earlier on in the season from Pink, he was saying, last season, not very good. We didn't qualify to Grands. Even this whole chapter hasn't really been the best for Pink, and Vico hasn't quite found his match in terms of duo partners yet, so I'm really happy for these guys. Let's just hope they can close it out in strongly.
It's what I love about this tournament, because it's not just all about getting that top spot and that first place position here. Of course, there is value in finishing strongly outside of becoming the the finals champion here, and that gives that extra incentive, not just for all of the players who are competing, but for everybody watching at home. Going into this last game, it's all up for grabs.
And it's at least as far as 2nd through 10th is concerned, I would say at this point, because Swizzy and Putrick, I mean, kudos to them. They've done an absolutely fantastic job to put themselves into the position that they currently are today, and it's just been an impressive weekend so far.
Yeah, that's what I love about Fortnite. You always have these other storylines to focus on. It's not just about who wins or who loses, it's about who can qualify to this Global Championship spots. Of course, there is 10 of them up for grabs in this grand final, so keep your eye on those teams that are just on the bubble.
All right. This is it. We're getting into the final game. No more tomorrows. Taco, can I just borrow you for a second? I've been using my hands a lot, so I might need some extra digits here, because it's not game 10, it's not game 11, it's game 12 that we're going to. I like that. Thank you very much. Let's do it. Battle Bus, one more time.
Welcome to the ultimate finale of one of the most exciting seasons of EU. I'm Shio, joined by 11-2K. This is the last ride of the day, of the major, of all time. It should be fun to see what goes down.
It has been a long season, but one we have thoroughly enjoyed, and one that has provided so many great moments, and for it to all culminate into this final game here. I know the players will be nervous heading into this last game, but I'm feeling a bit nervous now. I usually don't get nervous. I'm starting to get a little bit shaky, you know what I mean?
It's when you know exactly what's supposed to happen, but you're not sure what might go wrong. That's the exact circumstance of this game. Swizzy, Putrick in first place, but so many, 2 top contenders actually nearby who could take their title.
Yeah, the potential to see a player come from another region where he's been dominant and come to EU and be dominant, unprecedented levels of success. And we'll see that all conclude here after game number 12. Will it be Swizzy and Putrick to hold on? I think many people would expect that to be the case, with such a lead coming into the last game, and with such a locked-in game plan that seems so ironclad. Many people will expect them to continue, but so much all across the map, Shio, that still has to be concluded.
Yeah, you talk about Swizzy, you talk about half the people in the top 10, how their game is played is dictated by one fight that happens every single game off spawn. It's the Spire. And we tune back in, and I do not see contestation. I repeat, the first time this FNCS, I do not see contestation. There's no following, there's no bevies, there's not even a disconnect. There's 50 duels in the lobby. The choice to disengage and go to a completely different spot.
That is interesting. Look where they are playing it safe. They want to play the last game. They don't want to watch from the sidelines. I think they got tired of Akira and Skyjump third party in them, and they finally decided, look, we'll fight with scraps if we need to. We just want to get the chance to play.
Are they going to play, or are they just going to live for a little while? Because for them to play, they need power.
Are they going to live, or are they going to just survive, right? You know, truly, living, you sort of got options when you're living.
Yeah.
When you're living in life, you got options, but these guys, it's going to be all about surviving in this lobby. A scrap loot path, and a new loot path being uncovered for Teamy and Misha. Another game where they switch up where they're landing, west of the Shattered Slabs area.
Watch Misha just be like a developer who's coding in random buildings and just dropping at them. Game after game after game. That's what it looks like every single time. It's crazy. I drop map, a spawn fight that doesn't really go their way. A lot of the times, it's Irazumi, I believe, is on the other side of this. Him and CNET have been taking really good trades, actually, in 2v2s. In this game, if you're not even in the top 10, it's okay. It's all about trying to just up your prize at the moment, and CNET will hit some nice prize shots in this fight. He just never misses. Always has enough damage to take down one individual before he might go down, but it's not up to Irazumi this time. It's CNET. He needs to clutch this one out, and he has all the utility and loot to get back up in HP. Does he have the time is a question.
Yeah, he doesn't get time to get the big pot off, and I think it is a result of him. Oh, okay, maybe Isaac's gonna let him have it. Yeah, he will. He will be able to pop it, and maybe even get some of the med mist off as well.
Something both players have. Everything is gonna be the way for the moment. Moneymaker in though. Third party active, and CNET's down fast.
That's what we're seeing, man. Teams understanding where the off-spawn fights are happening and deciding to roll in and third party where possible. It's such a viable play to make in these lobbies where players are so stressed off spawn, panicking at all costs to get the job done. And it finally pays off there for Moneymaker and for Nyan.
Misha and Tini up in their own fight, but this time their opponents actually poisoning up both necks, basically frilled at this moment. Showing off power. Misha will be the one to win at the moment. Towards the top. Tini wrapped around the other side. They're trying to go for a pinch on here. And this is their game plan, right? Go for these fights. See them all the way through. Some time for Tini, but he misses the mammoth shot. And this very actively doesn't land too much in terms of damage. One player losing a little bit of his shield, but past that, I mean, I feel like on the back end of this one, they didn't really get a good trade.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be a spot they drop out again. One, because it's the last game, but two, because it doesn't seem to have paid off in the way some of the other spots have. And unfortunately, if things keep going this way, it might be the last game for them. And they won't get a chance to play it out if they go down. Some nice HP coming in, but really and truly, they're gonna have to hit some big shots here. Garrett is trying to escape though, which is good news. And so yeah, finally able to turn the tide. The other team was as low on materials and HP as they were, and so it pays off in the end.
Now without a super vault to be able to use, without big moves.
Don't speak too soon, they're gonna run into Shattered. They'll be waiting for that bot to spawn.
It's not as big as Spire though, you know? In terms of what you can have, but they are actually still rocking that same type of off-spawn aggression. Bevies. Sneaky, sneaky path. Oh my god, like a fish! No chance!
I am lost for words.
Makes them look foolish!
That was clean. That's what we want to see more of. That's why we want to see them in these games. And like you said, boxed like a fish. Love to see it.
Kiri, Ping. They're doing their thing too. Two shots, both missed, damage back, returned. Ping losing all his shields. Grippy and Flixie are actually retaliating this time and somewhat winning the fight as it starts, but it's always a stalemate with these two. It never goes their way for too long.
Archie and Jakey Fan have been ever present in this area of the map of Spawn, causing issues for a couple of different teams. I saw some beef on the timeline between Archie and Vidal and Savage, yeah. Our fan favorites heading at it, you know. It's painful to see, and this will be painful for Archie to be dealt with. It's been Jakey Fan that's typically been the one doing the clutching for this duo this season, and so Archie with their FNCS on their line, doing everything he can to make this work, and even going for the revive. Wouldn't let it happen though. Here's Kef coming for him, and so decides to ward him off with a nice little shot there, and we'll go right back in for the revive. I think that should be enough for him to get it confirmed. More pressure coming in. Is he just going to stick it though? Looks like it. And finally opting to just stick it right to him. Archie not playing no games right now.
How many times you have to tell one person to leave is the question. It sounds like something right back.
What on earth am I watching, man? Kev, it's just that annoying fly on the wall, you know? You keep swatting it away, it just comes right back.
Newspaper doesn't work. You go to the fly swatter, doesn't work. Throw the couch.
Throw the whole
Just throw the whole couch. That's what Archie does. That last shot, huge. This fight, 40 minutes. Give it 40 minutes, it'll finish.
Yeah, it feels that way at times, right? Usually, they want to get it done a lot sooner than that.
You'd assume that this final game will be a bit tighter too in terms of every single player trying their best to stay alive and go for that placement, but a lot of people doing their last-ditch effort at switching a few drops. Maybe going for fights instead of really tracking that surge. And you see the lobby that has 91 people drop to 76.
Well, yeah, look, it's the final game. Desperation has fully kicked in for all these different teams. No more, hopium and copium to get you by in these games. You just have to do something. And ultimately, in this case, a lot of the time it is just taking a fight you wouldn't necessarily take, or just completely switching up the way you're looting and where you're looting.
Gotta make sure if things go right, at least you still play the same. Even if you're making rash decisions, make sure your shots land within those rash decisions, because once you switch up the whole play style, that's when things start to go really bad in terms of even staying composed to land a few shots. Swizzy, unless he finds like a insta medkit on the ground, there's no chance he lives that one. Our first place team in a spot of doom. Will their lead be enough is kind of just a question at this point, because Futric, this 2v1 is going to be nigh difficult.
Ah, c'est
Hold
vrai
on.
qu'ils sont
Wait.
10 HP, il va tomber. Ouais.
No chance. If he had time,
If he had time, 321 points in theory. That's the number we're sort of looking at from him. Oh, 600. I forgot yesterday. We got to add yesterday's points. I did forget. That's on me.
Zone de combien? Ah, zone 3, zone carré.
So, a lot of points still separating them. And so it would have to be a massive game, an absolutely massive game from Trulex to be able to come back on that one for sure. It's not the most likely of things, but yeah, I think for the most part, it is going to be that race for points to catch up and get to a different point in the leaderboard. In any case though, for the last time this season, get out your pen and pad, because we got Takata to fill us in.
You were talking about a race for points, Levin. This is a race to global championships as Pablo Wingu and his duo partner Bevies, after contesting Skydude and Shakos every single match at the Spire, have decided to make a change in the last match. Being in the 15th spot, just very close to the borderline of the global championships, they decided to drop in a completely new location, west of Friendly Fields, out in the open, changing up their drop spot and playing for that qual.
Comment ça s'appelle là? Peut-être comme un Shatterhead. Je peux tout pro.
just big info, all across the field. All across the field. Classic Growth, give me another win. I want another win.
Hey, that would be very helpful for them in their pursuit to secure some more points. Climb, of course, they want to be at the Global Championships, and that win they got earlier today certainly has put them in a position to be there.
One clutch for Kylie, and then after that, a few cool plays. He wants to still see that first place, another win, hopefully.
Yeah. Kylie, I think a lot of the time it's just guaranteed entertainment with these two.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to be rooting for them to make it deep in games, show us what they can do.
For all the players that wrapped in and jumped through in game 11, made decisions, might have gone down, said, if only I had more mats, or if I had a second chance, I do things differently. We blessed, me and Levin specifically blessed. We said, make the zone go down there again. Do it one more time. Exact same zone. Up to you guys to trim it as your own. If you made any type of rotational decision that wasn't correct, you can fix it this time. Triple ref guard, we saw ref guard fall early. I believe this time they're staying ahead of the zone and they're trying to move in as fast as possible. Big difference in speed for this duo. They are actually covering their tracks no matter what. They're leaving nothing behind. The panic I see from everyone else, I don't get a hint of what's slipping out this duo.
Yeah, and they've got the God loot for this final game, so hopefully things sort of work in their favor. Full slurps is not a bad spot to be at all. We've seen what can be done when teams have an excess of slurp juice. Caden Diox just going to get the island for free. I'm going to last game, I'm expecting people to go all out for 15 points, but in any case, they'll just be able to claim it and get it for free. Someone is coming now, it looks like. Any surprises here, eh? Not at all, but they will miss out because, again, Cade and Diox can just claim it a lot faster now after the recent update. So Pablo Ingra and Bevy's efforts to get up here will be in vain. All that they get out of this now is just a fight and the slurps, which they will be happy with because of the loot he's working with. It's not the best, to say the least.
Cade's not happy to give it up. They're actually dropping right in. Pablo Ingra, lots of pressure to work with. Bevy's shot down, running away, and no chance. Both players taken out in an instant.
That is tough. We're too late to be able to actually contest the flag being captured, and then once they get up there, wiped out from the lobby and end to their FNCS run. But what an end it's been. Big claps for that duo because they provided us with plenty of entertainment across this weekend. In the few games we got to see them play, they certainly were fun to watch.
Won't be seeing that aggression this time. Kiri might be the one to actually channel that and keep it going. But he also needs to see the back half of an end game as well. Tune in across the map to another duo. Chicho. Do I see a Trulix? Yes, he is alive as well. They're both clicking side by side.
Yeah, they need to sort of have one of their better games in this last one. Just sort of slip down in the standings a bit as the games have gone on. At one point, this was a team in second place to come into this game around 8th, so don't want to keep falling any more than that.
That's just on day 2 as well. They're pretty high up in the standings when it comes to contesting for that first place. I think they're the ones who might be just 200 points behind. I'm gonna check on that. Thomas HD, Malabuka. If there's a game for the classic, for the dominance, the damage, the run back, it's this one. Because they're no more, first of all. But second of all, they're also in a really good spot inside Mega City. Photo Science Nazi, I just like the consistency we saw earlier on in the games today and later in the back half of games yesterday. A few clicks and a few more hopefully. And this one is top 10 is still what's needed for that global championship.
Yeah, just to correct you, I was wrong earlier. I was looking at fake leaderboards. Fake leaderboard is fine. I got the real one now. And we have it up there on the screens as well. Yeah, Trulix and Chicho, actually, like you said, the team that is second in that race, far ahead of everybody else.
It looks completely untouchable to get to that first place spot.
Yes.
200 points.
Yeah, it's just not happening. And that's just a testament to how good Swizzy and Putrick have been. Multi-region champion. Not bad thing to add to your name.
It's very true. Swizzy Putrick did such good work. You have to love it when it's an FNCS and the winner is like, you know, in that last game on that lap. At the same time, it's a little bit troublesome like when they're down. But to get 2 different regions is just crazy. To do it in EU is just that much more victorious. A very hard region to claim as your own. And they've done it in one of the most dominant fashions we've seen in a long time.
Je respawn plus à ce spawn.
Replay of this fight that we just saw. Volko.
4 mecs là-bas, faut comprendre vraiment.
A little bit of mid-game kerfuffles all around.
J'aurais spawné trop tard.
That's just going to be tough.
Pourtant, la main n'a pas été fait là-bas.
You know, favorite teams we're looking at, just talking about moments ago, to do well, getting taken out.
Let's still these guys with all their slurp juices in inventory that are looking poised to have a really good last game.
Up as a duo is the most important thing. The Mega City endgames, hot or not?
Super hot, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For why? You like the in and out in the buildings?
Yeah. What's there not to like, man? People grind on them grind rails. Fun.
Yeah. Hellfire Nev's also seeing a game here. Kind of nice. You're in this position, I feel like the sweat is pouring, right? Like, every elim, every box, you might be trying to stay chill, but last game epics, yes, every elimination worth thousands of dollars. You're getting the refresh. Is it clicking now, or is it more so when the end game starts where the hands start to get shaky?
I think all throughout this game, people would have been shaking, to be fair. But a lot of these players have the experience of being in the final where, again, you just have to lock in. Can't allow outside factors to start to influence your gameplay.
We're getting sparse in this game too. 54 people alive. We talked about fly swatting at the start. Might have just been like a metaphor for the whole game. Is this the Vanya Classic? Is that what's happening now?
I've been waiting for it, man. We haven't had our typical FNCS Vanyak super clutch, so hopefully it does come at some point in this game. Of course, Vanyak is a player we'll be seeing at the Global Championships, right? Qualified last major, so even though he might have been a bit more quiet here in Major 3, he'll start to heat up towards Copenhagen.
So locks in bottom right, Clownski rolls, get a little bit of an advantage. Looking good for now. Lobby getting as thin as it is in this final game. Makes it so that these guys who are playing for ultimate placement, very, very happy boys. Surge, not as difficult. You know, the amount of mistakes they can possibly make due to other players punching them, not gonna happen as often. If you're solo in this situation as well, there's basically half of the lobby's eyes are just not on you because they don't exist. Right now we're looking at 60 people, 65 people. It's not going to be the case. 15 less in total. We're at 51. User getting focused. What Huddy needs here is just like a random solo flying through his window and his keyboard disconnecting inside the box.
Yeah, we've seen solos make things happen in these kind of zones, as difficult as it looks to traverse and deal with. It wasn't too long ago we were watching Teeny go crazy, so Snake Pro just had a long rotation to make, and they look to pick up a refresh before the rotation. It isn't made, unfortunately. Big return damage onto Snazy. We'll just force them to chill for a bit.
He's like, how do you hit that shot? That looked free for me. Like, that's not fair, man.
A bit of a heat check, a bit of a heat check. But you need those sometimes to humble you as you head towards the end game. Teeny and Misha will get to play this zone out as a duo, but unfortunately down on Surge. So I think we all know what that means a lot of the time with this team. Hopefully they will make that decision, though. They're sort of sitting around waiting. You ain't got heals to outlast us. You just got to jump in the box, my friends. It's what you've been so good at all weekend long.
It's a magic. Here goes Teeny. Essentially just a solo clutch. Misha's trying to keep up. 126. Is he going to commit? Yes, from the bottom. These angles. It's crazy. He sees both. And he picks them up.
Wow.
Misha gonna get knocked, but he sends Teeny flying forward. A thruster for the rocket to reach the sky. Teeny is moving. These are monumental shifts in the leaderboard. He's taking out people in front of him, behind him, are not gonna be able to catch up. And he is just booming through everyone. 57 mats to work with. Just getting in a little bit of the backside of zone. That's huge. Huddy, Medmist, he's soloing too. How far can he take his run? That's the question. It's all about finding the right layer now. 2 different duos fighting on the bottom one, 6 different ones faced up on this one, so might just be the better option. Zone stops here, it's another max pull for the whole server though. Brown arrows on the minimap start to move forward. Get their first flight on site. After that, Teeny still in the driver's seat.
These rotations were already stressed, Shayo. And so for now, these players having to move even further. Again, it is going to look real rough for some guys as we head towards that temp zone.
Teeny chooses the right side, had a lot of info on the left, says, nah, it's just a bit too much. Some zone damage taken, still has about 7-8 seconds in front of the storm. Nothing for shields, nothing for mats. He's used so much to get to this point. Just has weapons on his back to use. Anyone looking at him now can hit him in the head. That's a mammoth to the noggin. He's down. Mixon stops him.
Tripping though. Earlier we were watching him. He had all the slurps in the world, the best loot in the game. And now he's a backside solo player. Just trying to find any sort of leg room. But there's none there for him. For Strokey in a very similar spot, but higher elevation.
9th zone for everyone in EU, and you can add 1-1 to that and make it an emergency, because I barely even see duels alive. It's just so many fragmented players, so many people losing on their shields as well. Tough for Strokey, but quickly gets into one of his old builds at the same time, locked down. No chance for him to keep going.
And look who it is, finally making their appearance on height. It's Poland on top, and their other Polish compatriots on the other side, potentially trying to take it. Seti was up there, Cammy with the chop. They're going for the height take here in the 10th zone.
No matter which way you cut it, it's Polska Gurum. And these guys are both fighting for it. No one in control just yet. Cammy, he's there, connected as well. And they have just a few mats to keep it going for now, but we will run out of gas soon. Skydoom from the backside with Shakos is in the jungle. Big homage to his roots somewhere he first started to drop when he played in EU. And he boxed up just for now. Last slurp pop, it's time to go crazy in the zone.
This is exactly what he needed. That slurp gives him the space, but unfortunately this player's watching him. Chari now just has to fend off without Geras by his side. And he's desperately tiptoeing around these builds. He knows there's a team's duos all around him. But which one does he pick to fight?
His bounce back taken over by another team. Now just him. 50 HP in total. Can't even go in the storm. Big shot cracked in front. Chicho Tulix affected Chari. Looking for anything right now. Focus by height. Left side shot. Missed again. Backside. Dodged. And it's Nathan that takes him out.
And Nathan and Jakey still have a claim to this game. Tulix is down on low. Chicho way up above. Cammy and Seti starting to make the drop down to close out the game.
Has position, no control, no mats, and no home as he gets evicted. Chicho on the backside has the med missed. No time left now. One solo on his right. Does he have the tools to get into the walls? Not just yet, they're made of brick, and he has no stone in terms of aim to be able to hit that one. It's just too fast to be able to use now towards the end. Seti, Cammy looking to actually take this one home. A few more shots locked in the zone. It's them for Game 12's win.
Polska Gurum, Poland on top. 2 of the best Polish teams battling it out on height in this final game. A flavor of what we had seen earlier in the qualifying weeks, all throughout this season. And it's Cammy and Seti, the OG Polish duo, that come out on top of it. And a big win in this final game from a team who I think many people expected to be playing like this all day long.
That leaderboard has to be just like sand, shifting now after that last game. So many top 10 players looking good in terms of placement. Seti and Cammy winning at the game with elims. They finally did it after so many games.
Yeah, they were looking for height. You know, they had been practicing the timings all season long, and I wondered whether or not it was going to work for them in a grand finals lobby. Clearly it did. Cammy on the backside, chopping out the height team. Seti on the front, looking to build up. The formula was perfect.
So many nitpicky type of elims from solos and duos playing for placement, and we can't see everything, even with our gorgeous eyes, so we have to toss it to 3 more people who have the brains, the brawn, to break it all down.
Guys, thank you very much, and as the dust settles on our final game of the weekend, I can confirm that our FNCS EU Major 3 champions are Swizzy and Putrick! What an incredible weekend it's been for this duo.
Wow, wow, wow. Consistency personified. The duo that rocked our world and rocked the lobby too. These guys have shown us really what it means to be champions.
Absolutely no one can be surprised though after the performance that they put on throughout this grand finals weekend. The fact that they were in that position to begin with, sure, might have been a bit of a shocker, but after watching their gameplay be so consistent throughout so many of these matches, it truly is a well-deserved victory.
Yeah, and as we just take a look at some of the highlights from their entire run throughout the whole weekend, it just shows how proficient they've been. Swizzy ending up the weekend with the most solo eliminations, 30 to his name, showing that not only have they been dwindling along with the placements and keeping that consistency going, they've also been ramping up the eliminations too.
The crazy thing is that I feel like I haven't said two names more this weekend. We couldn't keep them out of our mouths, could we?
No, not by any means. And what's even more incredible is that this now makes Swizzy the second multi-regional FNCS champion.
Yeah.
You had Muzz representing an NA from Oceania, Swizzy now from Asia, having won back in Chapter 2 Season 8, taking the AXA champions here today. And Putrick, this man, his highest ever performance, stemming all the way back to Grand Royale, where he had a 5th place finish, now finds himself as another AXA Champions wielder.
Catch you off guard a little bit, Mini, yes or no?
Yeah, a little bit, you know, because this is a new duo going into the season. This is one of those sort of teams that we wouldn't have had on our radar. They didn't actually perform too well in the weekly qualifiers either. They only actually made 1 finals out of the 3 weeks, so it was one of those where it was a definite dark horse, but they've just proved as to why we need to start talking about them more.
And it's what makes an FNCS Major Grand Finals so exciting. You never know who's going to claim the AXA champions.
Well, at least in this particular story, we could see the Cinderella story line up here for Swizzy and Putrick. They had such a dominating lead over the lobby. It was practically impossible, and then it became literally impossible for anybody else to catch up by game number 10, essentially. But even heading into game day number 2, these two were looking to get things started on the right foot.
Well, it's a triple whammy for this duo, of course. They claim the AXA champions. They get that spot at the Global Championships, and of course, let's take a look, they got the bag as well. The money talks when it comes to our leaderboard. Here is the top 10. We will reveal very shortly who else has made Global Championships, but $200,000, Mini.
Yeah, a huge amount of cash for these guys. Couldn't be more happy for them. And of course, coming over from Asia, performing very, very well when they landed, of course, in the EU region. Swizzy and Shimoki mixing things up for this season. And now it's Swizzy and Putrick showing what they can do. Well deserved at $200,000.
Yeah, they're definitely living the lavish life.
Yeah, let's just rattle through some of the other teams. Of course, we're celebrating our champions. It'd be rude not to. But moving on down through this leaderboard, there are some very worthy winners of some big cash prizes here.
Well, again, it's not even about the cash prize, because cash prize is always nice, don't get me wrong, but the fact is we had so many teams in this top 10 that weren't yet qualified towards that global championship later on this year, and now they find themselves solidified in that position. Trulix, Chicho, a well-deserved endeavor, a well-placed effort.
Yeah, really great stuff from this duo. I think a lot of people would have said, you know what, yesterday's zones would have carried them because they had so many of those east side zones, but today we didn't have as many, and they still kept up the consistency. What a performance over the weekend from these guys, and just again showing us that sticking together as a duo for long periods of time does pay off, because they've been playing together for so long, and you can see what the results are.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've really enjoyed about this experience, is seeing how the different duos mesh with each other and the different techniques on display here. Let's take a look at Misha and Teeny. Some real key highlight moments for these guys.
Easily one of the most unorthodox strategies that we've ever seen in a Grand Finals lobby being utilized by these two throughout the entirety of this weekend. The fact that they chose to utilize more than 6 different drop spot locations and still managed to find themselves solidified this high up in the leaderboard just showcases their overall talent.
Yeah, these guys made this FNCS one to remember, just because they were switching up so many strategies. And I mentioned it earlier, it's so difficult to play from different drop spots, let alone play different drop spots in a single tournament. They, as you mentioned, Taco, 6 different drop spots, unheard of stuff, but they still made it work. And of course, with the fragging ability of both of these individuals, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think having those different drop spots shows a real self-belief in yourself coming into a weekend like this, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you have to have that confidence, though, if you're going to be in an EU Grand Finals lobby, and it's something that was definitely showcased throughout the entirety of this weekend with their gameplay. But Seti, Cammy, no real surprises to see Polska Gudem, aka Poland, still on top.
Well, it's been an absolute delight and joy to crown our champions here in EU, but we're not the only region that's done it, as Levin and Shio can tell you more about.
Thank you so much, Ian. Yeah, lots going on all across the world. We just watched it in Europe with Swizzy and Putrick, and happening right after 11, but Brazil also coming through afterwards. It's Asia that did wrap up.
Yeah, look, very, very big congratulations to Larpex and Bobby for winning over on Asia. Not an easy feat to do, and I'm very excited at the prospect of watching these guys at the Global Championships. There'll be big expectations on them from their region to represent, but I think they can match it.
Absolutely, Ocean as well. Jace and Repulse rocked through really, really nice. After that, too, Middle East 11 was also a blast to watch.
Yes, 7-man and Cal Gamer, man. Cal Gamer especially, I've seen hustling for so long all across the board. One of the sort of big names in that region and showing up here in the final major of the year.
I mean, all across champions, so much fun to watch FNCS across the globe. Tossing it back to Ian for a little bit more as to what happened today.
Shayo, Rocketman Levin, thank you so much. That is impressive stuff to be able to see, you know, some of these other teams that have, you know, done exactly what our duo has done here in EU, but there is still, of course, more to come. Now, one thing that we have to look at as we start to shift focus to the Global Championships is, of course, our EU teams and beyond that have made it to, as I keep saying, the big dance.
Yeah, definitely a lot of teams that have so far been able to solidify themselves for that global championship. Major 1 and Major 2 had a lot of familiar powerhouse names, and Major 3 did not disappoint.
Yeah, of course, as the majors went on, we amped up the number of teams that did qualify. And as you can see on your screen right now, Major number 3, we've already started on putting out so many names, and you can see so many names that we watched go down today. Of course, we see Kiri, we talked to him, of course, at the beginning of the weekend. They managed to sneak their way in as well. Pink and Vico's so happy for those guys, of course, because those guys, I mean, Pink especially has talked so much about how he hasn't had the best chapter so far, and I'm sure this will be a great way to end the year for them.
But look at Grolls and Clownsky right at the very last minute. They were able to just sneak their way into that top of the leaderboard, and I believe it's unfortunately Pablo Wingo and Bevies who had to take the sacrifice hit.
That's why, that's a prime example how you can never lose faith in a tournament like this.
Exactly. Never give up. That's what it's all about. Fast-breaking Kali, another name that I want to highlight there as well. Vico's ex-duo in Kali clutching up as a solo earlier on today. Those are what make the difference, and those are what qualify you to the Globals.
Blacker Mixon as well. Nice to see him in the mix.
Oh yeah, Mixon. They were doing everything in their power. I mean, even in that final lobby, we saw them trying to control the high ground. A beautiful switching distraction, though, from Seti and Cammy to take the height. But yeah, gotta be happy, though, for Robin and Axforce as well. Have to remember the interview from yesterday, and seems as though they're polished up enough to keep themselves in contention.
Yeah, this is, of course, day 2 of the Grand Finals. But we're not done yet. Let's take a look at our broadcast schedule. I can tell you, of course, we've got the NA Grand Finals Day 2 coming up very shortly. But for us, our Grands are done. But we can now shift our attention, Mini, to the last chance major. There is still hope for our duos to make it to the Global Championships.
Yeah, so 25 duos across all different regions will be qualifying to the Global Championships for the last chance major. Here in EU, we have 9 duos qualifying directly through, so it's going to be electric, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, so don't worry, if your favorite duo didn't manage to make it in today, they still have that final opportunity to qualify for the Global Championship.
Yeah, and Shimano, if you do make it through, it is into the lower bracket, so you do have a little bit of a disadvantage, but still, you want to be there, of course. And you want to be there too. You want to get
le top 2.
This might do it for you.
Top 2 de kill. Dommage, j'avais plus de maths. Bon les gars, sur YouTube, je vous laisse. Venez sur Twitch, là j'ai lancé instant.